Rutgers Scarlet Knights, undefeated, and for the first time in 3 decades, in the top 25. True sophomore Ray Rice leads the Knights' potent offensive attack. And their top 5 defense mirrors head coach Greg Schiano, passionate and powerful. Is Rutgers ready to join the Big East elite? We begin to answer that question against South Florida next. Tonight, ESPN2 Primetime College Football is broadcast in high definition, presented by Pioneer Plasma. Welcome to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. The Big East opener for number 23 Rutgers and South Florida. The Scarlet Knights 4-0 for the first time since 1980. The Bulls are 3-1. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Pash. Rod Gilmore, Trevor Matich, and Tina Dixon will join me shortly. Well, for those of you who don't know, Rutgers has been playing football for 137 years, but has been ranked only 6 weeks. And this is one of them. The Knights, for the first time since 1976, are in the polls this week. They are number 23. Their opponent tonight has been playing football for just 10 years. That's South Florida. The Bulls went to a bowl game a year ago, and they have a pretty good defense this year. One reason why they're 3-1. Their challenge tonight is to stop Ray Rice, who is 4th in the country in rushing, averaging 150 yards per game. Rod Gilmore and Trevor Matich on the field with more on him.
All right, Dave. Well, Trevor, we know that Ray Rice is an outstanding running back. He's got great vision, and he's very quick. But he's not a very big guy.
No, and that size is one reason that linebackers sometimes seem slow to react to Rice. Just as a boxer will telegraph a punch that his opponent can react to, a running back will telegraph a cut that a linebacker can react to if he can see him. Now, you're about 5'9", Rice's size. I'm about 6'5", the offensive line size. You're the linebacker. You've got a problem. Where's Rice?
Well, and the problem is, by the time they figure out where he is, he's on the linebackers, and he'll run through an arm tackle because he's very strong. He presents a big problem for South Florida. But one thing South Florida doesn't have to worry about is their quarterback. They've got a pretty good situation over there. What do you have for us on the quarterback, Tina?
Well, thanks, Rod. And the quarterback for UCF is freshman Matt Grothe. Now, keep in mind, he was not heavily recruited, just like Ray Rice, because of his size. People wanted him as a safety, but quarterbacking is what he wanted to do, and USF gave him that chance. Now, so far this season, he has led the Bulls to 3 come-from-behind wins and currently ranks 1st in the nation for a freshman quarterback in passing yards and total offense. And Coach Levitt says, hey, the guys are paying attention to him, they trust him, and I think I can build my team around this young quarterback.
And Grothe accounts for 2/3 of USF's offense. Can he lead them to a win tonight against the number 4 defense in the country in the Rutgers Scarlet Knights? Coming up, Greg Schiano, who was 10 years old the last time Rutgers was ranked back in 1976, will join Tina Dixon. The Scarlet Knights and the Bulls of South Florida in the Big East opener for both schools. Coming up from Tampa next.
Introducing.
And welcome back to ESPN2's coverage of college football primetime. Rutgers and South Florida in the Big East opener for both schools. It has been a long time since the Scarlet Knights were ranked. They're 23rd this week. 1976, the last time they were ranked. And the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, as you would imagine, all over the newspapers, and not just locally. In the USA Today, you see fullback Brian Leonard. Sports Illustrated was in Piscataway this week as well. One thing the Scarlet Knights haven't been able to do is win in the state of Florida. They are 0-7 lifetime down here. Most of those losses coming against the University of Miami when the Hurricanes were in the Big East. Greg Schiano, who is in his 6th year as head coach of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, is standing by with Tina Dixon.
Well, Coach, for the first time since 1976, Rutgers is ranked. What is different now?
Well, not much. We got to play a football game here in about 20 minutes, and South Florida is a very good football team. So we've got our hands full, but we concern ourselves with ourselves. We got to go out and play our game.
What have you told the players to keep them focused?
Well, I just tell them, the way they got here was by chopping away. When we weren't very good, there wasn't a lot of people around us. Now there's more. If you just keep chopping away, everything will take care of itself.
Good luck and thanks.
Thank you.
And actually, they carry an axe with them, guys, on the road as an emblem of their mantra, chopping away. Jim Levitt, in a short time, has chopped away, and he's gotten his team in a position where he thinks they can contend, if not this year, certainly next year, for a Big East championship. They went to a bowl game last year, guys, in just their 5th season of Division 1A football.
You talk about Schiano chopping away every day with that program. Well, Levitt, he built his program. He had to order the helmets and shoulder pads, line the field. They had nothing.
Yeah, he went to a luncheon with Bobby Bowden and Steve Spurrier. They're talking about being ranked in the top 15. He's talking about who do you call to purchase shoulder pads.
That was 10 years ago. They know where to get their pads now.
Justin Tichy will kick off, so we'll get a look at that Rutgers running attack that we talked about in the open. Willie Foster, the special teams player of the year in the Big East last year, and Taekwon Underwood back to receive for the Scarlet Knights. They'll be without one of their top wide receivers, if not their best wideout, Sean Tucker, who is out for at least a month with a fractured ankle, putting even more onus on that rushing attack for the Scarlet Knights. We are underway from Tampa. It'll be Foster at the 10. Can't get away at the 22 as he's finally wrapped up Trey Williams on the stop. Rutgers averaging 34 points per game, and these two players right here, big reasons why they're so good offensively.
This is where it begins, and I really think this is the most complete backfield in college football. You have a true fullback in Leonard, a scat back in Ray Rice. They catch it, they run with it, they block. They're complete players. I think they're just an outstanding tandem.
Leonard got his first 2 touchdowns of the season last week. He's got 41 touches on the year. They'd like to up that total. He's in front of Ray Rice on first down at the Rutgers 21. And it's the true sophomore Rice going nowhere, spun down after a gain of 1 on the play. Trey Williams made the tackle. There's a penalty flag on the play. Tom Tomczyk from the Big East Conference, our referee.
Dead ball, personal foul, late hit, number 21 on the defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, not a good start for the Bulls, and they're one of the most penalized teams in college football. Only 6 teams average more penalty yards per game than USF.
Well, that's just a case of a young man trying to make a statement early on and get involved, and you get flagged for it. That's Trey Williams, who came in late on Rice.
So first down at the 38. Leonard again in front of Rice. Rice will get it again. This time has a hole. Wrapped up at the 42 after a 4-yard gain. Pat St. Louis on the tackle. Take a look at the rest of the offensive starters for Rutgers. We talked about the backfield. They've got a pretty good tight end too, and Clark Harris, perhaps the best in the country. And Mike Teal, at quarterback, has struggled. Only 4 career touchdowns, 15 picks.
Teal has struggled. USF's defense wants to keep the ball in his hands, so he's the one that has to beat them, not Harris or Rice.
Teal out of the shotgun as they go empty here on 2nd and 5. Teal with time, and he's got his tight end Harris for a first down. Inside the 50-yard line. Ben Moffitt on the tackle.
Well, the chat boards for Rutgers have been lit up this week talking about Teal. You mentioned that they've lost one of their key receivers in Sean Tucker. A lot more pressure. Folks in New Jersey wondering, can he handle it? Can he throw the ball? They've been relying on the running game and not passing.
Fortunately, that's right, Rod. Teal hasn't had to carry the team on his back yet. At some point he will, maybe tonight.
From the South Florida 47. Out of the offset eye with Leonard in front of Rice, and Teal on the play fake. Takes off and gets horse-collared after a gain of about 2 at the 45-yard line by George Selvey. Now, one of the reasons that Teal has struggled is because he doesn't have those receivers. They're 106th in passing. But again, with that backfield, one of the best rushing attacks in the game.
Well, nobody has shut down their running game. Their passing game, they're 106 in the country, about 130 yards a game. And once someone shuts down the running game, they're going to have to prove they can throw the ball.
What a week it's been around campus in Piscataway, New Jersey. All the fans excited about Rutgers football. Anybody who's ever went to that school now claiming them as their team as Rice shoots into the secondary to the 32 for 13 yards. Jeremy Burnett on the tackle. The South Florida defense has allowed just 3 touchdowns this year. The strength of this Bull defense is their linebackers, Stephen Nicholas, Ben Moffitt, and Patrick St. Louis.
Yeah, they've got their work cut out for them. Those guys are fast, but they have to make sure they take away the cutback from Ray Rice. The problem with that is that if you play for the cutback, Rice is quick enough to just run right by you.
And as you guys showed so beautifully, by the way, on camera, in the open, it's hard to see Rice until perhaps it's too late.
And when he gets there, he's so explosive, you better react fast.
And powerful, as you talked about as well, Rod. Here's a play fake on first down from the 32. And Underwood trying to scoop it at the 18, does for a first down catch and a gain of 14 yards. Well, Mike Teal has been criticized of late, but look at what he's doing on this drive, guys, and now they're going no huddle. An impressive throwing the football on this drive.
Obviously getting him comfortable and letting him throw before he's required to throw. And Rutgers tried to rush and get this play off before the replay official jumped in.
Good call there by Greg Schiano, though. Get him up there and try to snap it before they can take a look at it. And if you're Greg Schiano, guys, what do you tell your football team this week? This is a historic moment in Rutgers football. This was the doormat of the Big East, one of the doormats in college football for a long time. Let's go ahead and take a look at whether Underwood... Well, we're going to look at right after Underwood's catch. But going back to what we were talking about, guys, what do you say if you're Greg Schiano to your football team this week?
Well, these guys don't know how to be ranked. They have no idea. And Schiano has focused on what got them here. Focusing on the next, not just the next day in practice, but the next play in practice.
Well, here's that last play. Take a look and see whether this ball actually was caught or trapped.
Looks like a catch to me.
Well, that wasn't bad from that angle. That looked like he got both hands underneath it.
Can't really tell.
And again, it's got to be indisputable video evidence to overturn it, and I don't think they have that. That's a catch.
I think that's a catch, yeah. That angle looks like a real catch.
But getting back to Schiano and what he's told his team, rather than have them caught up in the enormity for their program of this, he keeps them focused on the smallest things, the steps that they've got to take to stay here, which are the same steps that they took to get here.
Well, I think you can handle... I think we've got the call coming in.
The call is confirmed on the field. First down, Rutgers.
So I think with all the media attention, you can handle that with your players. Sports Illustrated, USA Today, ESPN.com. The issue really becomes friends and family. You have your friends calling, you get all this stuff, you get patted on the back. That's the stuff that makes it tough on players.
The other issue is now there are reports circulating that if Larry Coker were let go at Miami, that Greg Schiano, who was the defensive coordinator there under Butch Davis, while Coker was the offensive coordinator, would be given consideration. And Schiano has to deflect those rumors as Rice takes it off right tackle for maybe 2 to the 17. Stephen Nicholas on the tackle.
And the players very much aware of all those rumors, very much aware of all the media, and very much aware that they don't really know what to do in this situation. That's one of the things Schiano, I think, has done so exceptionally well at during this week especially, is keeping all of those things away from his guy's psyche.
Ryan Leonard in the backfield on 2nd and 8. His first touch of the game. And he hammers forward to the 15, only 2 on the play. Ben Moffitt sticks him and brings up 3rd and 6.
Everybody expected Leonard to be the main guy in this offense. He was the guy that was touted coming into the season as the Heisman Trophy candidate. But Rice became the focal point of the offense, and a lot of that was due to the fact that people were focusing on Leonard.
But if you ask Leonard, he loves blocking for Ray Rice. He is a team guy all the way. First 3rd down on this drive for Rutgers. And Teal in shotgun. Rush coming. Teal finds Leonard. Can he get to the marker? Going to be close at the 10-yard line. Jeremy Burnett made the stop. And based on the spot, it's going to be a Rutgers first down.
Even with Ray Rice and all the great things he's doing, Coach Schiano told us that Leonard is the guy that has to get touches in order for Rutgers to win. and this kind of a touch opened things up for Rice.
He's their leading receiver. That's his 17th catch of the year. Ryan Leonard. A generous spot, it appears.
Yeah, I thought on that replay. I think there's a man down over there.
That's Alan Cray, Rose man.
On that spot, it looked like on the replay that he didn't quite get to the first down line. That yellow marker we have in the spot was pretty generous.
Oh, when you're a ranked team, you might get that, right?
You get those things. Huh? I thought you only got those things at home. But keep your eye on the yellow marker. That's your first down marker. Down there.
That's not a good spot. He was about a yard or a half yard at least shy of the marker there.
He looks like he's right on the 10-yard line there, but the spot is about at the 9.5 yard line. Well, you know, maybe things are changing for Rutgers. You have a little luck there. A few years ago, that would have been marked for a fourth down.
Yeah. It is amazing, really, when you look at both these programs here, not just Rutgers. We talked about the fact they've been around for 137 years, most of those losing seasons. South Florida's been around for 10, has only been Division 1A since 2001. And they finished above 500 in the Big East last year in their first season in the league and beat Louisville on this field in the Big East opener. Rutgers tonight in the Big East opener. And Rice inside the 5 to the 4, upended by Mike Jenkins and Jeremy Burnett.
Brought down by number 4, Mike Jenkins, and number 33.
I tell you, Ray Rice is a really special running back. You just don't appreciate him until you actually see him live in person. He really sees the hole very quickly, and he accelerates. He hits a hole as fast as anyone in college football.
You know, Brian Leonard said he's never seen anybody go the first 10 yards faster than Ray Rice.
Already 27 yards on 5 carries, over 100 yards in 6 straight games. Second longest streak in the country behind Garrett Wolf. They give it to Rice. And a face mask coming as his head got turned around by Woody George at the 5-yard line. Loss of one on the play, but again, a face mask penalty.
The thing you want to watch is Rice's head. There it goes. It spins all the way around. The officials look at that, and they call the 15-yard personal foul when the head spins around.
Personal foul. Face mask. On the defense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Whether it was a 5-yarder or a 15-yarder, it was going to be half the distance to the goal anyway, so Woody George got his money's worth.
Yeah, in a manner of speaking, he certainly did. You look at Ray Rice, though, and he is kind of the embodiment of what Schiano's been able to do lately with recruiting. He's a guy who would have gone to Syracuse. He committed to Syracuse, but he wound up at Rutgers after Syracuse fired Pasqualoni.
On second down, handoff to Rice, trying to get outside. Another flag down, dead ball foul on the play. And false start against Rutgers.
Try this now. False start. On the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Well, how about that? A personal foul face mask ends up being just very short because of half the distance to the goal, shorter than this false start turned out to be.
Ray Rice is a true freshman last year, over 1,100 yards. He's on pace for about 1,800 and 27 touchdowns. He's got 9 right now.
You think Syracuse could have used him?
Well, last year they struggled, obviously, offensively. And I think a lot of teams in college football would like Ray Rice. Don't you?
Absolutely.
From the 7 now, first and goal. And another dead ball foul.
You know, they're a little slow coming out of the huddle, and they're also down in the end where the South Florida fans are really loud.
Try this now. False start. 71 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
At this rate, I think Steve Spurrier might even smile, because this is they've had this ball now for over 6 minutes. Who knows if USF's even going to get a snap in this quarter?
Yeah, but this is the area where there's a lot of green and gold. There's the jump on the right side of the line you saw there. That was Jeremy Zutai, number 71. But the fans are really loud at that part of the end zone. They were yelling overrated as the game began.
12th play of the drive. And a handful of penalty flags already. Rice on the inside handoff. Gets cracked at the 5 but not only holds onto the ball, but just pinballs forward to the 3, a gain of about 9 on the play.
When Rice makes this cut, he slashes through the hole, and then watch his legs. Watch nothing but Rice's legs. He gets hit, he drives, he drives, he drives. He never stops those legs, and they always have leverage to go forward.
Gotta love that hit and spin. All the good running backs on contact, they spin away from the tackle if they can. Hit and spin, hit and spin.
He might be 5'9", but he's right at 200 pounds.
Yep.
Rice again, and Rice is in! Touchdown, Rutgers! That's the 10th rushing touchdown this season for Ray Rice. Ryan Leonard helped him get into the end zone once again.
Yeah, Trevor, keep your eye on 23. Watch him out there.
Along with Jeremy Zuta, they double-teamed the defender on the very edge. Look at number 71 and 23. Zuta and Leonard. They're the ones that cleared that hole.
Jeremy Ito on for the extra point. That's only the 4th touchdown allowed by the South Florida defense. And now 4+ games this year. And it's 7-0 Scarlet Knights. A 13-play, 79-yard drive. And it culminates in yet another rushing touchdown for Ray Rice. Number 10 on the year for the true sophomore. Ray Rice with his 10th rushing touchdown this season. And Rutgers off to a great start on the road. Ranked for the first time in 30 years. Obviously wants to stay there. They got 6 first downs on that 12-play, 79-yard drive.
But look what Rutgers did here. They got down into the red zone inside the 5, and then 2 consecutive penalties backed them up. In the past, they would have settled for a field goal. This Rutgers team, this Rutgers program, scores a touchdown anyway.
Trey Williams and Torres Johnson back to return the kick. Johnson averaging 34 yards a kick return. South Florida very good on both kick returns and punt returns this year. Jeremy Ito to kick off from the Rutgers 35. Johnson about 5 yards deep will take a knee. Well, we mentioned earlier that in the Big East opener last year, Louisville comes calling and South Florida beats them. Amari Jackson, a 57-yard reception to the 1. And then in the 3rd, Jackson to Derek Carter, and the Bulls are up 38-7. End up winning that game 45-14. They score 45 points on the road at Rutgers, beating the Scarlet Knights. 6 turnovers by the Knights. USF comes up with 28 points off of those turnovers. And Andre Hall had 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. The offense this year was Hall last year, but it's quarterback Matt Grothe for USF this year. In last week's game against Kansas, they had 63 plays, guys. He was involved in 52 of them. He's 1 for 1 tonight as he finds Ian Randolph up to the 27 for about 7 yards on the play. Grothe and Randolph are 2 impact players for this South Florida defense or offense.
Yeah, you saw it right there, and one of the keys is to get the ball to Randolph in space, one-on-one, and let him do something. And when they're not doing that, look for Grothe to be running with the football.
2nd and 3. Grothe a quick lateral to Randolph, and he's got the first down. Pushed out a play by Roberson. Gain of about 9 or 10 on the play. The rest of the lineup for South Florida, they've got 2 tackles who will be charged with protecting quarterback Grothe. Thad Watson and Mark Dial. South Florida's committed 10 turnovers this year, most in the Big East.
And other than Watson and Dial, this is an inexperienced and banged up offensive line going against a very fast, very aggressive Rutgers defensive line.
They're 4th in the country in total defense, 5th in scoring defense. First man through, Benjamin Williams to about the 43 for 5 yards. Now, Tina Dixon talked about it at the outset of our telecast. Matt Grothe not highly recruited. Central Florida and South Florida, really the only 2 schools that wanted him to play quarterback. Most schools wanted him to play defensive back.
He was not the starting quarterback when the season began. Now, that was Pat Julmus who was. But when Julmus got a bruised thigh, Grothe came in and took over, and he Wally pipped Julmus.
Didn't leave. And he's not playing now because of the injury to Julmus. Julmus was fine after game 1. But Grothy has performed more touchdowns than picks this year. Williams spun down by Brandon Rickard after maybe a gain of 1 to the 45.
Well, this is a young man very confident in his abilities as a quarterback. When recruiters came around and said, as we look at Pat Jules, who is the guy that is a very talented young man, but he's been inconsistent. He's still, though, even though he's on the bench, team captain and a great leader, and still highly respected by his teammates.
In fact, after the loss to Kansas last week, Jules was the guy in the locker room talking to the team, not Grothy, as Grothy takes off, and he's going to be a yard shy of the first down. Eric Foster drilled him at the 47-yard line. It's 4th down and 1. South Florida has struggled punting the football. In fact, Matt Grothy has had a couple of cracks at it.
Did you see Grothy? He thought about punting. Well, maybe we're not. He wanted to stay out on the field, even though it's 4th and 1 at midfield.
So Justin Tichy will come out and punt it.
Isn't he punter, what, number 3 for them this season?
Yep. The problem has been catching the snap. Punters 1 and 2 kept on dropping snaps.
Willie Foster back to receive, special teams player of the year in the Big East last season, as we mentioned earlier. Taking the play clock down to 2. A rugby-style kick. A couple excellent bull hops. And it will be down at the 11-yard line. Well, Rutgers went 79 yards the last time they had the ball. They'll have to go 89 this time.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Hummer, like nothing else. And The Marine, October 13, only in theaters.
Back in Tampa Bay. And the Rutgers Scarlet Knights here in Tampa, home of the Buccaneers and the South Florida Bulls. Raymond James Stadium with a 7-0 lead. The offense drove the length of the field last time, and will start at the 11 in the second possession of the opening quarter. They ran the ball 5 times on first down, threw it 1 time on first down, their opening drive. And here they run it again, and Ray Rice to the second level, picks up 7 to the 17. Jeremy Burnett takes him down.
Well, one thing that Rutgers wants to do is move their offensive guys, make the defense shift and move and think of what their assignment is in a very short period of time before they have a chance to tee off. And it works, and the defense isn't quite ready for that run right up their throat.
You see that block by Leonard at 230 pounds and a 250-pound defensive end, Jarrett Bowie. Bowie got the worst of it. And contact as Alan Cray, who was injured on the first drive, ran into a Rutgers offensive lineman.
Try this now. 94, offside, on the defense, 5-yard penalty.
That was Alan Cray offside. Trevor, getting back to your point about the defense moving, when the offense shifts around like that, it makes a defense play slowly because you have to think. And you would prefer simply to react and go after the offense. But when they shift and move, and you have to go, okay, my assignment changes to this. Now this is my responsibility. You don't play fast.
And the strength of that South Florida defense is its linebackers. You want to get those guys in a position where they're not running sideline to sideline, making easy plays. Nicholas Moffitt and St. Louis can all run. In fact, Moffitt last year chased down Pat White of West Virginia from behind. Already 48 rushing yards for Rutgers. South Florida only allows 91 per game. Teal finds Leonard. That's touch number 2 for Leonard to the 25 for 4 yards.
Now, Leonard is a fullback. He weighs 235 pounds. He's one-on-one in space with a very fast corner, Mike Jensen, and he puts a move on him and beats Jenkins up the field.
You're talking about a guy who, had he come out last year in the draft, would have been a second or third round pick. He probably would have been the top fullback taken. That's how good Leonard is.
Direction third touch for Leonard on the night. Now he's lined up in front of Rice on 2nd and 7 at the 24. Rice will get it, and he's to the outside. Cut it back, and right there was Carlton Williams, the free safety, to plant him after a gain of a couple. Tina Dixon has more on Brian Leonard.
Well, so far we've seen some blocks here by Leonard. Now remember, he has been here since 2002. He has seen this team at the worst. He's seen it when they were 1-11. He's been booed off the field. In fact, he told me that he once walked up to his car and there was a big dent in it from a bottle being thrown at it. But he said he believed and kept trusting in Coach Schiano. Now finding some rewards, but he doesn't buy into the hype. Instead, focuses on the job at hand.
Now when he was a true freshman, Tina, Rutgers was 1-11. They're 4-0 this year. Teal to throw on 3rd down, and it's incomplete. James Townsend, the intended receiver. Well covered by Tyler Roberts.
You take a look at Brian Leonard and his career freshman total yards, over 1,314 TDs, and then his sophomore year was also outstanding, and not as many touches so far in his senior season, only 269 yards coming into this ball game. And that bottle that was thrown at his car and placed a dent was after they lost to New Hampshire, 1AA school.
So Radigan on a punt to Ian Randolph, who has a punt return for a touchdown this year and 3 other touchdowns that were called back because of penalties. He'll get a shot here at the 18. Makes the first man miss. And another at the 35. And finally down at the 40-yard line. Beautiful moves by Ian Randolph out to the 40-yard line to give South Florida decent starting field position. Well, Fred McGriff, Major League Baseball player, played for a lot of teams. Could he have been a Bull? More on that story when we come back.
DirecTV. Yeah.
Welcome back to Tampa. Rutgers leading 7-0. We mentioned before the break, Fred McGriff, Major League Baseball player on 6 different teams, and Jim Levitt wanted to sign him to play football for him. But Levitt didn't know it was Fred McGriff. One day, about 8-9 years ago, back when the trailers served as the football offices for South Florida, Fred McGriff was stretching outside the trailer as after a penalty, South Florida starts inside Rutgers territory, and a pass that's caught by Erskine down to the 22 for 22 yards. But just to wrap up that story, Jim Levitt went up to Fred McGriff, thought that he might make a good tight end, and then he realized that it was Fred McGriff.
Well, he was looking for any football player from any source that could play any position. He saw a guy that had some muscles and could stretch, so he tried to sign him.
They didn't have helmets. They didn't have concrete for a sidewalk to get down to a practice field 10 years ago when they started this football program. Ben Williams thrown down in the backfield by Ramel Meekins at the 25-yard line. The reason South Florida started inside Rutgers territory was on the punt return. There was a late hit call, so a 22-yard return plus that 15-yard penalty, and now they've got the ball at the 25 of Rutgers. Back in 2001 is when South Florida became a Division 1A school. They were in Conference USA for 2 years, guys, and the Big East last year where they went 4-3 and went to their first ever bowl game, the Meineke Car Care Bowl, where they lost to NC State.
You know how much money Levitt made in his first contract in South Florida? $75,000.
They had a $40,000 recruiting budget back then. That's for coaches. And there's Grothy on the move on 2nd down, maybe a couple of yards as he got out of the pocket. William Beckford takes him down.
So that's $75,000 the first year. And now he's getting paid. Now he's in the money. He's got about $1 million contract now.
Well, look at what he's done. He's built from scratch a program that started with nothing 10 years ago, now in the Big East. Last year, they got $2 million from their share of Big East television and BCS Bowl money. That doesn't include the bowl that they went to.
And a 3rd down and 11 coming up for Levitt's team. Inside the Rutgers 25, and we start the second quarter. USF barely had the ball in that first quarter, and the Bulls trail 7-0 at home.
Plus a $400 warm winch for just $69.95.
Start of the second quarter in Tampa, 7-0 Rutgers. 3rd down and 11 for South Florida at the Scarlet Knight 23. Rutgers controlled the football in that opening quarter. 10 minutes in time of possession.
The middle of the field might be open for South Florida here as Rutgers is showing a 2-deep coverage and 3 receivers down to the bottom.
And 2 receivers to the top of the screen. Grothy with time and unable to make the catch as Amp Hill. With a running start, he might have been able to pick up the first down. Instead, it's 4th down, and the field goal unit comes up.
Well, Rutgers was showing a 2-deep coverage there. Look at this. And there's a guy out there. Look at all the middle that's open. And they're going to send the guy into the middle, but Grothy doesn't see it, doesn't quite have time. Look at how wide open the middle is.
Mike Binzer will attempt a 40-yard field goal. He's only 1 for 3 on the year. And he's going to miss this one wide to the right. So no points for South Florida, despite excellent starting field position after a good punt return and a penalty. Well, Saturday night, Troy Smith and the top-ranked Buckeyes head to Iowa City, where 2 years ago they were crushed 33-7. Drew Tate leads the number 13-ranked Hawkeyes against Jim Tressel's Buckeyes. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC.
Right now, Troy Smith, quarterback of Ohio State, the clear front runner for the Heisman. But what if he goes into Iowa, struggles, and they lose? That would throw the whole race into chaos.
Ted Ginn, a candidate as well, already more receiving touchdowns than he had all of last year. On 1st down from the 23, Teal, and wide open is Dennis Campbell. Makes a nice move at the 50-yard line, but stepped out. Stepped out of bounds at the 48 of Rutgers. Still picked up 25, and a Rutgers 1st down. Campbell, a freshman from Plantation, Florida, that was highly recruited by South Florida. In fact, there are 22 players on this Rutgers roster that hail from Florida.
Well, he's right here. He's going to come all the way here. Now watch the clear out there by the receiver on the other side. That crossing route clears out that area, and so Campbell has plenty of room. They run the corner off, they run the safety off. Campbell has a lot of room to work out there.
From the 48, Rice on the call. Gets about 3, dragged down by Danny Verpail.
You know, Trevor, coming into this game, the concern in New Jersey was Mike Teal. Can we throw the ball? That sort of thing. And Schiano said they didn't have to throw it. They ran before, but right now it looks like he's okay throwing it.
Ray Rice, slow moving on the ground. A little banged up on the play.
Well, this is not good news for Rutgers, even if he's slowed down. What it would mean is that Teal, at quarterback, would have to pick up more of the slack.
Rice saying that he got his face mask pulled again. His mask and helmet got turned around on the first drive of the game for Rutgers. So he'll leave for one play. Now, you can go with true freshman Cordell Young at tailback, or you can just go with Brian Leonard at tailback, right?
He's got choices.
Well, Brian Leonard is being touted as a Heisman candidate. Certainly, he's one of the most versatile players in America. He can do whatever they need him to.
Oh, come on. When you see him, don't you think about the Leonard leap? He just leaps over guys. That's the first thing that comes to mind to me about this guy.
Now they lined up wide receiver Willie Foster behind Leonard, but now he's in the slot to the bottom of your screen on 2nd and 9. Leonard will get it. Trying to stretch it out and does a great job to stay on his feet and get the first down to the 40. Looked like a tailback on that run.
It looked like a Sherman tank on that run. Now this run should end right there. But instead, the stiff arm, he does a little mini leap, and he keeps on going. And look at how he doesn't just avoid, but he continues moving forward as he avoids.
That's the 9th first down of the game for Rutgers. I talked with an NFL scout recently who said that normally fullbacks don't go in the first round, but if there was a fullback to be drafted in a late first round, Brian Leonard would be the guy because he can do so many things with him. First down from the 40-yard line. Teal going deep. And It's incomplete. He had a man open down the middle of the field in James Townsend. Instead, he went to the sideline to Campbell, and he overshot him.
But you talk about Leonard being a possible first-round pick. Just check out his athleticism. I mean, how many guys can leap over defensive backs like this? Watch this guy here. Oops. I mean, he gets up there. Now watch this one. One more time. This guy can flat out jump. He is so athletic.
He learned to do that in high school because he was the biggest guy on the field a lot of the time. Defenders would attack him at the ankles and knees, and he learned to leap over the top of them, and now it just becomes second nature.
There's a billboard of that in Times Square. A Rutgers donor bought it, and a Leonard leap is in New York City. Ray Rice back into the game. Hard to run outside with these fast linebackers of South Florida. Maybe a couple of yards on the carry for Ray Rice. Tackled by Nicholas.
Number 22, Brian Leonard.
When Rice isn't coming at you, Brian Leonard is. And he's pretty much been effective in the passing game. A good catch that kept the touchdown drive going. An effective blocker as well. And then you saw him on that last play show you some grit and determination as he bounced off a couple of tackles.
Third down and 7 at the 37-yard line of South Florida. Teal's pass knocked away, incomplete. The intended receiver was Dennis Campbell, broken up by Carlton Williams. And it's fourth down.
Yeah, and Nicholas, 51 linebacker, was also back there. You talk about the speed of the linebackers, how deep he is back there on this play, helping out, showing up as well. He's near the ball. Had that thing been up in the air, Nicholas would have picked it off. That's a big stop for South Florida. It stops that momentum that Rutgers got when they had that opening drive touchdown.
Joe Radigan to punt. Ian Randolph with a 22-yard return last time. He's fourth in the country in punt return average back at the 10. And he fields it inside the 10. Normally, you shouldn't do that. Randolph may be a guy that you give the green light to. He gets back to the 10-yard line. That's where South Florida will start, trailing 7-0 second quarter.
From the Florida Aquarium in Tampa, Florida, find out what's more dangerous, playing in the ACC, the Big East, or with these Sharks. Find out next what Rod and Trevor think in the Friday night debate.
Rutgers 7, South Florida nothing in the Big East opener for both schools. The lone touchdown scored on the ground by Ray Rice. South Florida with possession at its 10-yard line. Little toss to Benjamin Williams, and he gets grabbed by Jason McCourty at the line of scrimmage. Henry Lewis also on the tackle there for the Scarlet Knights. And the ACC and the Big East since realignment. Head-to-head games, 10 wins for the ACC, but the Big East against the ACC is 4-3 this year, fellas.
Well, the ACC, one of the premier conferences in the country, but it's interesting now what the Big East is doing in comparison to that.
Big East is perfect against non-BCS schools this year, 13-0. Grothy able to deliver the pass to the 13-yard line. Quintero Frierson on the tackle of Devin Gordon. And we'll debate here momentarily which conference is better off since realignment, the Big East or the ACC. Big game in the ACC tomorrow, guys. Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech.
You know, and you talk about the ACC and Virginia Tech being rated number 11, I believe, the highest rated ACC team. If Virginia Tech loses that ball game, a lot of people will be jumping off the ACC bandwagon and saying it's a down year.
Two teams in the top 10 in the Big East. 3 ranked. West Virginia, Louisville, both in the top 10, and Rutgers at number 23 this week. Third down and 7, and going deep is Grothy, and he overthrows the tight end Cedric Hill. So 3 and out for the Bulls.
Fourth down and 7.
Grothy is the focus of this offense, and he's their leading passer and leading rusher. When you a Rutgers defensive player, you look at your keys. Who do you need to stop? And right now for South Florida, there's only one guy, and that's number 8.
Justin Tichy will punt out of his own end zone. Willie Foster at the 42 of South Florida to receive it. And a penalty flag down. Already had 6 penalties in this game.
Well, you're not surprised. From South Florida, you expected that. You were telling me all week. A lot of penalties in South Florida, right?
76 per game.
All start. 97 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
That's penalty yards, not penalty flags.
I said 76.
Feels like 76 so far. Probably does to Jim Levitt as well. 103rd in the country in penalties a game and 113th in penalty yards a game. But it's a 3-1 football team. And Jim Levitt, talking to us, felt like they should have been 4-0, that they were the better football team on the road at Kansas last week, but lost that game 13-7. Rutgers coming. Tichy gets it away, and it's a line drive that goes dead out of bounds. Let's see where they mark it. Going to be right at the 26-yard line. Great starting field position for the Scarlet Knights.
No kidding. Remember, you mentioned earlier about the punting problems that South Florida's had. This is the same as a turnover. This is a bad turnover.
Well, they expected Tichy to do the roll to the right and rugby kick again. So they brought the pressure from Tichy's right. It'll come from right here, so he can't roll out. And that's where they almost get the block.
Punt of 18 yards. Looked like the Americans during the Ryder Cup.
Did you have to bring up such a sore subject?
We will have our Friday night debate coming up. Loser goes on the Shark Tank, by the way. But first, we're going to see what Rutgers does here with the ball at the South Florida 26.
Shark Tank, spending time with lawyers.
Toss to Rice. Down to the 21, got 5 yards. Nicholas and St. Louis team up to make the tackle.
This is a big series now for South Florida's defense. After a botched special teams play, a botched punt, down 7-0. If they can hold Rutgers to a field goal here, they get a win. If Rutgers scores a touchdown here, South Florida is going to be in a hole.
That's Rice in motion. They got a wide receiver, Tim Brown, in the backfield, and he's going to catch the pass, and he is knocked out of play at the 21-yard line by Trey Williams, so no gain on a little bit of trickery by Rutgers, putting a wide receiver at tailback.
You know, Trevor, you talked about this being a sudden change situation. You're the defense, you're on the sideline, something happens, suddenly you're back on the field. It's a mental situation. If you go out there tired and blaming the offense, you give up a touchdown. If you focus and you play the play and you think about getting the ball back, you have success.
Third down and a long 3. Rutgers 1 out of 3 on third down today. Teal throws into the flat, caught by Campbell, and he's got the first down inside the 15-yard line. Ryan Gilliam made the stop for South Florida.
Ron, I like this call. It was soft coverage. It allowed Teal to complete a pass where there was no chance of an interception. It's a high percentage pass, and then let Campbell make the play.
Well, they gave it to the right guy. I mean, Campbell is a guy that is great in space. He's hard to tackle one-on-one. They tried to make a defensive back out of him. He wanted no part of that. He insisted on being a wide receiver, and he beat everybody in practice on the scout team, so they made him a wide receiver.
Mike Teal has been maligned, but he's looked pretty good throwing the football for Rutgers. And a handoff to Rice on first down to the 10. 5 more yards on the ground. Pat St. Louis on the tackle. Our Friday night debate coming up. Midway through the second quarter in Tampa, 7-0 Rutgers over South Florida. The Scarlet Knights ranked for the first time in 30 years, only the 6th week in 137 years of playing college football that they've been ranked. Dave Pash, Rod Gilmore, Trevor Matich, and Tina Dixon. Rutgers dominating time of possession, but only a 7-point lead right now. 2nd and 5 though from the 10. Rice off the left edge and got maybe 2 to the 8-yard line. Another key third down coming up on this drive for that South Florida defense.
This is one of the great things that Rice brings to it. He could have tried to bounce it and possibly had no gain or even a loss. Instead, there were 2 yards there to be had. Rice put his shoulder down and he drove through to get those 2 yards. He always gets you positive yards.
I think you can say 2 things about Rutgers. They're smart and they're tough. And they get that toughness from their coach. A defensive coordinator. He believes in toughness, and they play smart down here.
They've run it 17 times. Teal is 7 of 10 through the air for 63 yards. Third down and 3. Leonard is in the backfield. Teal on the roll-off. In trouble. Sack at the 15-yard line. Ben Moffitt the first to greet Teal. St. Louis also there for the Bulls.
This is the play that South Florida needed. We talked about what a crucial series this is. Now play action pass, and here comes number 59, Moffitt. Shadows Teal and doesn't allow him, because of his speed, to be able to set up and throw the ball. And because of that, South Florida has the win on this drive, whether or not they make this field goal.
32-yard try by Jeremy Ito. 3 for 4 on the year. And he nails it. 10-0 Scarlet Knights. As promised, the Friday night debate. Who's better off after realignment, the ACC or the Big East Conference? We'll discuss when we return to Tampa.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family. And Advance Auto Parts. Get more for your money with the low price guarantee. We're ready in advance.
Well, if you like cigars, you can learn how to roll them here in Tampa. One of the largest aquariums here in Tampa, and a humongous cigar factory as well.
Did you get yourself some of those?
No, Trevor hogged them.
Nah, I'll hug the chocolate cigars. I'm not much of a smoker.
Williams and Johnson back to receive. Ito to kick it off. South Florida's defense holds. Rutgers has dominated, guys. Yards, time of possession, but it's only 10-0 on the scoreboard. And an excellent kickoff that will drive Williams about 3 yards deep. South Florida will start at the 20-yard line. All right, it is time now for our Friday night debate, guys. Which conference, since realignment, is better in 2006? The Big East or the ACC? Trev, we'll start with you.
You've got to look at the Big East. You've got West Virginia and Louisville, top 10 teams. Louisville this year crushed Miami without their starting quarterback and running back. You look at Rutgers, bowl game last year, ranked this year, trend line up. You look at Pitt, 25 recruits in this class, 17 of them first-team All-State players in high school, trend line up. South Florida, with the recruiting base in their facilities, is a sleeping giant in this conference, trend line up. I think you've got more schools at high levels and with a high trend line in the Big East than the ACC.
Grothy going deep on first down and throwing up to make the catch is Amari Jackson. Dragged down in Rutgers territory at the 45, a 35-yard pass play.
Talk about trending up. How about the 6'5" Amari Jackson getting up here to pluck this ball out of the air? This is a guy who had a big game last year against Louisville to spark that upset.
And a big game against Rutgers last year and a win in New Jersey. 7 catches. That's just his 8th catch this season. Dorsey is in the backfield, and it's Grothy keeping to the 43, so 2 yards in the play. All right, Trevor, you say the Big East right now is better than the ACC. Rod, how about you?
Well, I think that's all good stuff. I think Trevor made a lot of good points, but I still think right now the ACC is a better conference because it's a deeper conference. I think the Big East still has a ways to go. Even if you look at a team that has 2 losses in the ACC, Miami, I think most people would agree that Miami is better than almost every team in the Big East except for West Virginia and Louisville. And you haven't even talked about Virginia Tech out there as we watch this play here.
Grothy going deep again on second down. Torres Johnson, great grab. Penalty flag down as well at the 10-yard line.
Tell you what, let's do a little football now. We'll finish up the debate in a minute.
And on some yards after the face mask by Derek Roberson.
What a throw
Personal foul.
by Matt Grothy, the freshman quarterback.
First down.
Puts it on stride.
That's pretty good whether it's this league, the Big East, or the ACC.
Yeah, how about that one-handed grab and the concentration to hang on to the ball while your face mask is being torn around?
They needed big plays. They got him on defense on that stop after the botched punt. And now on offense, they're responding.
First and goal. Grothy keeping. Trying to stretch out for the touchdown, and he's down at the 1. Quintero Frierson on the tackle. Second and goal.
Well, this is why Grothy wanted to be a quarterback. In college, even when recruiters said that he needed to be a safety, he said, look, go away if you want me to be a safety. He had confidence in his ability to do this very thing. And look at his knee now. Is it down? Yeah, it's down.
And on second down, they hand it off to Williams. Penalty flag, though. That might be another dead ball foul. He did not get in. Devron Thompson met him in the air. Let's see what the penalty flag is.
Looks like they're going to get him for being offsides. Rutgers.
They'll move it about a centimeter, and it'll be second down and goal again.
Yeah, they're lined up offsides and then jump.
Was that Foster in there? I couldn't see the number, but it looked like that was Foster's spot.
Greg Schiano, the defensive coordinator, as well as head coach. Second year that he's done that.
Dead ball. Offside. On the defense. Half the distance to the goal. Remains second down.
Hard to measure half the distance when you're inside the half-yard line already.
I think it's probably one of those left foot, right foot things. Yeah, move it a little closer. Looks like half.
Move it a pinky toe. Only 7 touchdowns in 15 red zone possessions. All the ball has to do is just hit the front of that goal line, and it officially crosses the plane. Williams in the backfield. Grothy going to keep. Touchdown, South Florida.
That play was designed to go inside, yet Grothy decided to take it outside. When he saw the soft spot, you saw his head coach, Leonard, point to his head saying, smart play, after Grothy got in there.
Third rushing touchdown this year, 9th TD that the redshirt freshman has accounted for overall. That's the first touchdown that Rutgers has given up as a defense in the last 13-plus quarters.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that play was to go inside, and he elected on his own to take it to the left side.
Grothy, even though he's a freshman, not afraid to trail and come from behind. All 3 of South Florida's victories this year, Grothy brought them back from behind.
That's one of the reasons why Jim Levitt has stuck with him since game 1, taking the senior Pat Jewell miss and putting him on the bench, even though he was the quarterback that led South Florida to an above 500 record in the conference as they work on the field here at Raymond James Stadium. But Levitt likes the leadership potential in redshirt freshman Matt Grothe, and thinks he's the quarterback to take this team to the next level in this conference. Bends around for the PAT. And even though Rutgers has seemingly dominated this football game, it's only a 3-point contest. Matt Grothe's third rushing touchdown this season. Jim Levitt says, smart play, young man. Brett Favre has never won in Pennsylvania. Rutgers has never won in the state of Florida. And it's a 3-point Scarlet Knight lead, but Matt Grothe with a terrific drive on a touchdown run, 1 yard. He also was 5 out of 7 through the air. Big East opener for both these schools. Rutgers 4-0, first time it's been ranked since 1976. South Florida 3-1 coming into today. Foster about 3 yards deep. He'll take it out. Hit at the 15. And squirts past the 20 to the 23. Back to our Friday night debate. Which conference is in better shape in 2006, the Big East or the ACC? Trev, you say Big East. Rod, you said ACC. I don't remember why, because it was 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, it was rudely interrupted. But my point was, Trevor made a lot of good points about the Big East, and it is getting better. But the ACC is down, and even in a down year, there's still a deeper conference than the Big East right now. I mean, Boston College, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Miami with 2 losses, Florida State. Think about the ACC when those teams are up. When Florida State and Miami get back up, well, then the Big East really has a problem.
First down at the Rutgers 23. Trev will rebut Mr. Gilmore after this play. Play action. Teal looking deep. Going for the freshman Brown. It's overthrown. And it's picked off. 5th this year by Trey Williams.
This ball was thrown deep, but this receiver was never open. You see the double coverage there. It was only a matter of whether it got picked off or knocked down. Jenkins was back there as well, but look at Trey Williams lay out and come up with it.
You see the speed of South Florida. Both cornerbacks are deeper than the receiver Brown. And this is the fastest defense that Rutgers has faced all season long to this point.
I think South Florida wants no part of this debate.
First down to the 30. Look out. Little flea flicker, and it's going back to Grothe, the quarterback. Past the 40. And slips down to the 43. 13-yard pickup. S.J. Green caught the lateral and then threw the forward pass complete to Grothe.
Grothe's such a big part of this offense. He runs the ball from the pocket. We've seen him throw the ball, and this is just another way to get the ball into his hands. Now, he's not the fastest guy, but look how slippery he is. Number 11 is Derek Roberson, starting quarterback, and he's got a blocker out front, but still he slips by.
The debate has been tabled, but if you would like to vote, you can go to ESPN.com, keyword Friday Night Debate. Tell us whether you think the ACC or the Big East is in better shape right now in 2006. Colby Erskine on the carry, gets 2 yards to the 46-yard line.
Well, we have a totally different feel down there. That first drive, Rutgers took a long time and just ground it out to get that opening touchdown. But ever since the stop of South Florida's defense after the botched punt gave Rutgers good field position, it's been all South Florida.
Grothe has shown us a little bit of everything. Passing acumen, we saw the rushing touchdown, and then how about the catch for 13 yards? He does account for 2/3 of the offense for this team. He's 10th in the country in total offense, and here he goes again on the run. Bounced out at the 45 of Rutgers by Courtney Green.
Well, he told us yesterday that he was very nervous in his first ball game. And look at him here. He looks like he's pretty confident here. He's running with authority to the outside. He told us that the first ball game, things were happening really fast. It was a zoo out there, but since then, everything has slowed down for him.
That's unusual. Usually it takes a freshman quarterback about midway through the season before it slows down. Sometimes it never does. Play fake for Grothe. And has a man wide open. Marcus Edwards turned Roberson right around. down to the 22. 23-yard pickup. Ron Geralt on the tackle. For what's coming up at the half, let's check in with Reese Davis in the studio.
All right, Dave Blueholz and Mark May will join me. We'll deliver the latest from Iowa City, tell you what's going on with the Hawkeyes and the Buckeyes. Also, look at the unbeaten teams, 18 of them left. Do you buy or do you sell those teams? And the very latest on Randy Johnson's entry coming up at halftime.
All right, Reese, one of those undefeateds, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Right now with a 3-point lead, but South Florida on the move. Grothy breaks tackles and is in. Touchdown, South Florida. Well, we asked at the start of our telecast, would Matt Grothy be able to put this football team on his shoulders and lead him to victory over 23rd-ranked Rutgers? So far, he's been equal to the challenge. His second touchdown tonight. South Florida has the lead. Benzer tacks on the PAT. A 1-yard rushing touchdown and a 22-yard scamper by redshirt freshman quarterback Matt Grothy, and the Bulls lead. Matt Grothy leads all freshman quarterbacks in college football in passing yards and in total offense, and he has 2 rushing touchdowns tonight. And South Florida leads 14-10. And some adrenaline here in Tampa's Justin Tichy kicks it out of the end zone for a touchback.
You know, Dave, the one question about Rutgers coming into tonight's ball game was really just how good this team is, because a lot of people were skeptical about the competition that they faced so far this season. When you take a look at who they've played, not really great records. 4-11 combined. You see they opened with North Carolina. That was probably their most impressive win. So some questions about the competition about Rutgers.
And Rutgers has only trailed for 7 minutes in those 4 games total. They're down here as we approach the 2-minute mark in the opening half. Toss to Rice. Looking for a hole. It's not there. Jared Bowie on the stop for USF.
Well, I think Rutgers has the talent and the coaching to be legitimately a ranked team. It's not smoke and mirrors. However, the question still remains, have they learned how to win in difficult circumstances? Dave, you mentioned that only trailed for 7 minutes so far this year. Well, now all of a sudden they're playing a fast defense that can shut them down if Rutgers isn't mentally right. Physically, they've got it. How will they respond?
After no gain, 2nd and 10. Rice again. And there's a gap this time off the left side for about 9 to the 29-yard line. Tackled by Stephen Nicholas.
Yeah, Trevor, I think you're absolutely right on your point about the mental approach. Keep in mind that Rutgers dominated most of the first half of this ballgame. They controlled the clock. They ran at will. They were up 10-0, and they gave all that back in a short amount of time to South Florida. We don't see Rutgers using timeouts to preserve the clock either here.
Probably just happy the way things have gone here the last 5 minutes for their defense, just to go to the locker room trailing by only 4. Rice on 3rd and 1. Great balance to pick up the first down. Otherwise, South Florida could have called timeout and gotten the ball back with about 25 seconds left. At St. Louis had a shot at bringing Rice down to the backfield, couldn't make the play.
Now, Rod, do you think that interception by Teal with both corners deeper than the deepest receiver has made Greg Schiano a little leery about trying to throw the ball downfield in this situation?
I think he was more concerned about momentum and having something cheap happen, you know, in the waning seconds here. Neither team used their timeouts. I thought South Florida might use their timeouts to try to get the ball back.
Momentum shifted after a bad kick by South Florida. Rutgers had possession of the USF 25 and was held to a field goal. Since then, South Florida scored 14 points to take a 4-point lead. Rice on the carry, and that's the final play of the first half. Matt Grothe with 2 rushing touchdowns for South Florida, responsible for almost all of their yards in that opening half, as we go to Reese Davis in the studio.
All right, Dave, one of the unbeatens fell on Thursday night, TCU. Now Rutgers in trouble. Coming up at halftime. Good night. Rutgers, one of the unbeaten teams remaining. Matt Grothe having none of it. South Florida quarterback leading his team to a couple of late touchdowns in the first half. 14-10. Bulls have the lead. All standing, but Auburn once again found a way to win, and the Tigers remained unbeaten. Know about Auburn. They've beaten LSU. They've survived at South Carolina. They're one of the 18 unbeaten teams left. You know what you've got with the Tigers, but some of these other 4-0 teams, not so much. 18 left, as I mentioned, some of them going to be tested for the first time really this weekend. We're going to play a little buy or sell right now with some of the surprising unbeaten teams up to this point. Rutgers, the team you're watching right now, is one of them. Their scoring defense has been very good, though they've had trouble with Matt Grothe so far in the first half. Ray Rice has been impressive. Are you buying or selling Rutgers?
I am selling Rutgers. I think Rice is an excellent running back. I think they have excellent offensive line, but I think they aren't consistent enough at quarterback. And their 5 losses they had last year, they averaged giving up 39 points a game. So I'm selling.
Well, I know you got that right this time, because
selling.
before you're buying, but I am selling Rutgers. The reason why they're not ready for prime time, 1. 2, they still have to defeat Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Louisville. I don't think they're that good of a football team thus far.
Okay, so both of you guys right now,
Selling.
And off the Rutgers bandwagon. Be very careful with your trades and your transactions. The Dow went for a little while above the new high, and it's kind of going up and down. Missouri's been all no way statement. The definitive nature of it. Like you sold Rutgers. They're only down 4. At 5-stroke lead.
What's your name again?
Well, I know Mark wants to run over me anyway because he's mad at me about the whole Ohio State-Iowa thing. Torres Johnson, not tempo, Lou, made a catch there.
ESPN2 Primetime College Football broadcast in high definition, presented by Pioneer Plasma. 14-10, South Florida leads Rutgers as we get ready to start the third quarter. Ray Rice, the star for the Scarlet Knights, guys, in the first half as we look at our game track.
He was the offense. 18 carries in the first half for 82 yards, running the ball left and right for them. Here, the touchdown run that put them up early in the ball game, but he was the entire offense.
And for South Florida, the entire offense, Matt Grothe. With his arm, hits Torres Johnson. He's on a roll passing the ball, but also running. You see this 22-yard touchdown run straight through the heart of the Rutgers defense. Everybody's got a shot to tackle him. Nobody can.
Grothe also caught a pass from S.J. Green in the first half. Grothe with 2 rushing touchdowns in that first half. He accounted for 179 of the 195 yards of total offense in that first half for South Florida.
Well, I think South Florida did a nice thing adjusting as well defensively because they started focusing on Ray Rice. Now he looked for Rutgers to get the ball to Leonard. He only had 4 touches in the first half.
Leonard and Rice has been getting the ball, but it's not been enough. So Leonard also looked for Clark Harris, tight end. Number 81, who only had 1 catch in the first half. So far, Rutgers has not been able to distribute the ball to all of its playmakers.
Yeah, Harris caught that pass on the first drive. The receivers were not even in the mix. Mike Teal completed 7 of his first 10, but then the interception, which led to more South Florida points.
Yeah, I think Rutgers will get Leonard involved in the passing game, get him out into the flat, get some screens to him, and get him some touches that way, because 4 touches is just not enough for Leonard in the first half of this ballgame.
That's right. And guys, what I want to see from Rutgers here is how they respond mentally. A team that is traditionally a down program will start to freak out a little bit, and they'll start to press and make mistakes. A team that knows how to win will keep on chopping away until things start to work.
And this is the first time Rutgers has even been challenged this year. They're 4-0, first time they've been ranked since 1976 with their opponents with a combined 1 win against a 1A team. South Florida has a record of 3-1 coming into this game. This is the best team by far the Scarlet Knights have faced, and they're trailing as we get ready to start the third. Go to boot it away. Torres Johnson will watch it sail over his head, and South Florida will start at the 20. We mentioned that Grothe was responsible for about 85% of the total offense for South Florida. Yards per play, almost double for USF, which had the ball for only 10 minutes in that first half.
Yeah, but look at that second quarter. 147 yards in that second quarter after not really having the ball much in the first quarter for USF.
They started to crank out yardage in big chunks on big plays, whereas Rutgers makes a lot of hay on yards after the catch, but this South Florida defense is fast enough to close on those players and not let them gain yards after the catch.
In the Big East opener last year, South Florida beat a ranked team. Louisville will it beat a ranked team tonight in the Big East opener. Good start for the Rutgers defense. Out on the flat, Ian Randolph is lassoed by Devron Thompson. Loss of 5 yards on first down.
Well, you mentioned Thompson. One thing this defense has is a lot of speed. Speed throughout, including their linebackers. Thompson can run. The safeties can run. The defensive line can run. They've built an undersized defense with a lot of speed.
William Beckford, who you see number 35 lining up at right end, he was a linebacker that they moved to defensive end because he can rush the passer, is physical enough to hold the point. Grothe going to keep on second down, makes a couple of men miss. Out to the 31-yard line. First down. Courtney Green and Ron Geralt team up to make the tackle after a 16-yard run by the quarterback.
Rod, you talk about the speed. Look at the defense slide to the offensive left and then back to the offensive right. Goes Grothe. They took advantage of the speed, took advantage of the movement of the small, fast defensive front of Rutgers.
That's exactly right, and Rinkirk 47 came flying in, and on that read option, Grothe just pulled the ball out, went around him.
First down from the 31. Running play Williams this time. A rare touch for the tailback. Out to the 34. He's actually the third string tailback. Moses Planner with an injury. An ACL is out for the year, and Ricky Ponton suspended, so Williams third on the depth chart.
Talk about Grothe getting it done a lot of different ways. He's thrown the ball down the field, made something good happen, and he's run it an awful lot. Sometimes a straight design run, sometimes it's on the option. And these two big runs you see here, including the touchdown run, design.
And penalty flag down, and because of the suspension to Ponton and the injury to Plancher, Grothe has to run the ball more.
Trying to snap. The 60s on the defense, offside. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
One thing that the coaches are entrusting Grothe to do is have false cadence and hard count cadence, again, to take advantage of the movement of Rutgers defense. Now, it's hard to remember sometimes that this is just a freshman, and he is being asked to perform like a junior or a senior.
A very superstitious freshman.
That was tape on his left hand before every game. Eats a Snickers bar before every game. Can only imagine what Trevor's superstitions were before playing football. Pass play down the sideline. Beautiful play to break it up. Manny Collins knocked it away from Amp Hill.
I don't have any. I think it's bad luck to be superstitious.
You would say something like that.
I think Hill gets away with a little push here at the end. Watch Manny Collins do such a nice job. He's in great position. Hill had to become the defensive back on that play to make sure that Manny Collins didn't pick it up.
As we mentioned, the fact that Grothe doesn't have his first two tailbacks, he also doesn't have one of his star receivers, Jackie Chambers, who has also been suspended. Ponton, Chambers, and defensive end Josh Jewell-Miss all suspended for a second violation of failing a drug test. Here's a pass that's caught out near midfield, but a penalty flag down. The tight end Will Blakely with the grab, and it's a first down, but again, penalty marker on the field.
And you mentioned that suspension and the drug policy here at South Florida, probably the toughest.
56 on the defense. Penalties decline. First down.
Probably the toughest policy in the country. And they've lost, I think, 3 starters based on the violation of the drug policy. The policy, in effect, was first offense, counseling. Second offense, you lose 50% of the games for your season. That's a 6-game suspension for the football players.
And this is game 5 for Ponton, Chambers, and Josh Jewell-Miss. Yet South Florida, without 3 starters, a 3-1 record and a 14-10 lead over ranked Rutgers. Grothe gets drilled, and he underthrows, and it's going to be intercepted. Courtney Green with the pick, his 3rd of the year, and Rutgers takes over on the first South Florida turnover tonight.
And if there was going to be a pick, you figured Courtney Green would be around the ball. He's from New Rochelle High School. He and Ray Rice played together. He's a big-time safety. He makes big hits, and he always seems to have a nose for the football, as you saw Grothy under duress there.
Well, that's one mistake that he made. He looked like a freshman there. That's the first time all game he looked like a freshman. When that blitz comes, he'll learn that sometimes it's okay to eat it.
That wasn't a blitzer. That was a defensive end, William Beckford. We talked about his speed, guys, and he was able to get to the quarterback. At least he wasn't the guy blitzing on that play.
But it was an all-out blitz up the middle.
And they were reviewing to see whether Green indeed caught it. Instant replay's been under a lot of scrutiny here in the last couple of weeks. Let's see if they got it right on the field. Hard to tell. Looked like the ball might have hit the ground there. See if we can get a different angle, but it looked like maybe that hit the ground. Maybe it was trapped.
There has to be indisputable video evidence.
Yeah, that might have isn't going to work, buddy. You got to have something stronger than that.
So it doesn't look like that's going to be enough to overturn it. It's got to be indisputable video evidence. South Florida has struggled with turnovers. They've committed the most in the Big East Conference. That's their 11th on the year. And it's really tough to see it that angle there. You see the left arm under the ball.
Yeah, that looks like an interception.
Well, you just don't have enough to change anything.
On review, the play stands as called. First down, Rutgers.
So true sophomore Courtney Green led the team in tackles, was a freshman All-American a year ago. It's his third interception of the season.
That was a pretty good high school team at New Rochelle High School with Ray Rice and Courtney Green on it. Had a couple other players that wound up at Division I schools as well.
First down at the Rutgers 38. Ray Rice into the secondary. Rice breaking tackles to the 35-yard line, and he's over 100 yards rushing for the 7th straight game, and that ties a school record.
Now look at him get behind 6'8" guard, number 72, Mike Fladell. Take a look at how Rice is going to get behind Fladell, and nobody can see him as he goes across, and then he breaks up into the middle, and everybody's in chase mode.
We talked about that at the beginning of the show. 5'9" behind 6'8". That's a problem. Can't see it.
They fake it to him, and Teal hits Leonard. Oh, Leonard with just tremendous balance. How did he not go down to the 35? He got 5 yards on the play. Jeremy Burnett made the tackle. That was a linebacker, Stephen Nicholas, in coverage, a pretty good one. And Leonard was able to break a tackle out in space. And Nicholas slow to get up. Not only is he tough to tackle, but he hurts you when you hit him.
I think most defenders would prefer that than having him leap over you. It's kind of embarrassing when this big guy jumps over you, but here's the play. Ball out in the flat. Nice hands. Really great catch. And Nicholas jumping in at the end. Looks like he kind of hurt himself trying to make the tackle at the end.
Well, Rod, what stands out about that run to me is the attitude. And Nicholas is an important part of this defense, critical part of this defense. He's one of the reasons that number 81 tight end Clark Harris has not been a factor. He's been able to limit him. And 51 walking off the field is not good for South Florida.
And Nicholas, a Butkus watch list guy. Excellent speed. Wally Burnham, the defensive coordinator, who coached some great linebackers at Florida State, and Derek Brooks and Marvin Jones, thinks that Nicholas has a chance to play in the National Football League.
And he's not the only one. I mean, Moffitt inside is a pretty good prospect as well, a guy who is incredibly fast at 240 pounds. And you mentioned earlier he ran down Pat White of West Virginia last season. Caught him from behind.
7-yard pickup for Leonard. 2nd and 3 at the USF 28. Leonard on the handoff. Going to be close to the first down at the 25. Wrestled down by Bowie. Ryan Leonard is tough. Got hit in the head accidentally with a golf club when he was younger. Didn't even faze him.
He's a tough guy. I mean, this is talking about a guy that when he was a kid, he went down a ladder from his roof face first, all the way down to the ground. It's popped up. So yeah, no big deal. Just thought I would try it.
His brother Nate attended Rutgers, and very loyal guy. One of the reasons why Leonard attended Rutgers University, even though he's recruited by Notre Dame and Penn State, it is a Scarlet Knight first down, was because his brother Nate got an injury his senior year of high school, was heavily recruited, then got the injury. Rutgers the only team that stuck with him. So Brian wanted to return that loyalty by signing to play for Greg Schiano.
And Rutgers has been loyal to him. You know, he's got his own theme song. You know, the band plays a song for Leonard whenever he scores a touchdown. You know what that song is? Come on. It's the Boss, Born to Run.
That's your era. First down to the 25. More penalty flags. Already had 10 penalties in this game. Make it 11.
Well, it's interesting that you're going to Leonard now at this time in the game.
Prior to snap. Offense. Offside. 94 on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
That's Alan Cray. Second time that's happened to him.
Tina was talking about how Leonard was here for that 1-11 season. Now he's one of the guys that has been through the hard times, and he knows how to win. He's learned how to do it. And right now, this team needs to solidify that knowledge, and they're going with their most experienced and best guy when the chips are down.
He's in a bunch formation here on first down and 5 after the offside. Now shifts into the backfield. And he'll block for Ray Rice. Rice tripped up. Beautiful play defensively by Trey Williams. Otherwise, Rice may have a touchdown because he had Leonard out in front of him.
And you cannot do it any better than that. Trey Williams had a blocker in front of him, managed to get around or underneath the blocker and make the tackle.
They go no huddle. Rice on the carry. Very close to the first down marker at the 16-yard line.
Well, Leonard got most of the carries last year. Rice gets most of the carries now, but this time as a lead blocker, take a look at number 23. He'll come through and look at the block. He'll drive his man back, and Rice gets tackled about 2 yards behind him after he drove his man down the field.
They are short of the marker, so it's third down and 1. Leonard lined up in the bunch to the other side of the field here. Quick pitch to Rice, and he has the first down, and he's still going. Penalty marker down. Rice down at around the 4-yard line, but again a penalty flag. And it's coming back. 6 penalties on Rutgers, now 7 and 5 by South Florida. 14-10 South Florida over Rutgers.
Holding, 71 offense. 10-yard penalty, the spot of the foul. Remains third down.
Big East opener for both of these schools. Rutgers ranked for the first time since 1976. That's the last time they were 5-0. In fact, they weren't ranked in 76 till they went 10-0. They have never gotten a lot of respect, but they have it right now. Will they stay in the polls? Right now they trail South Florida, even though they've dominated time of possession. 10 more plays than South Florida in the game as well.
Big third down here.
3rd and 8 at the 23 of South Florida. Great crowd here favoring South Florida at Raymond James Stadium. They've caught on to this football team, which is 3-1 on the year. Teal to the air. And it's incomplete. A huge hit in the secondary. Dennis Campbell lost his helmet as he collided with 2 Bull defenders. Carlton Williams and Trey Williams, not related, sandwiched Dennis Campbell.
And take a look at the end here. You'll see Verpale come in at the end as well. The free safety, get a piece of the helmet there. But they had this one sniffed out perfectly. Kept the free safety in the middle.
And now a 40-yard field goal try by Jeremy Ito. Made a 32-yarder earlier in the contest. This to pull Rutgers within a point. And a beautiful kick by Jeremy Ito. So Rutgers gets 3 points out of it, but South Florida still leads Greg Schiano's Knights by 1.
Friday.
South Florida's defense holds again. Rutgers gets 3 points, but it's a 1-point South Florida lead. The Bull offense waiting to take the field. They had a punt the last time they had the ball, but look at the end of the first half. Back-to-back long drives for touchdowns. Ito, after that 40-yard made field goal, will kick it away. Torres Johnson and Colby Erskine back to receive the kick. And again, Ito just drills it out of the end zone. Tina Dixon has an injury report on Stephen Nicholas. Tina?
Guys, quick update. Stephen Nicholas, after that hit, came off the field. Now, they played with his right arm. They moved it back and forth, up and down. They decided to tape his right shoulder. He's sitting on the bench right now, and we'll just have to wait and see if he goes back in and plays.
Well, guys, if you're Rutgers, do you start getting Clark Harris into the offense a little bit more at tight end with Nicholas on the bench if he stays on the bench?
Well, I think you have to try if you can get him involved. I think it's sooner or later you're going to have to get Harris and Leonard more involved in the offense in the fourth quarter of this ballgame.
Harris, the top tight end in the country in terms of being the active leader in catches and receptions, as Williams gets 2 yards on the first down carry. Fryer sent on the tackle. Harris with only 1 catch today, and that was on the first drive of the game for RU.
But when you look at South Florida, they need someone other than Grothy to become a consistent contributor to the offense as well. I mean, there's a lot on that young man's shoulders right now. He's really carrying the offense by himself.
Has a pair of rushing touchdowns and about 85% of the yards, including 14 yards receiving. On 2nd and 7, Grothy trying to set up the screen and dropped by walk-on Benjamin Williams. 3rd down.
Well, there's your reason. Benjamin Williams, the starting running back, is doing the best he can. He's a little bitty guy, 5'7", 190. Behind him is another walk-on, Walt Smith. And the reason is that the 2 main running backs are out. Moses Blanchard toward ACL. Ricky Ponton is under suspension. And so they don't really have the offensive firepower running back to take the pressure off of Grothy.
We've also seen Keely Dorsey, a true freshman, and at running back tonight as well. 3rd and long. Grothy steps up in the pocket and delivers a strike for a first down to Ian Randolph. Great grab by Randolph in traffic. 15 yards and a first down.
And Trevor, how did he get that ball in there? And how did Randolph come up with it? Because it was thrown right into the teeth of coverage. You got 3 guys out there. Look at this. 1, 2, 3 right there. Wow.
Is he the best freshman quarterback that you guys have seen play this year, including Colt McCoy at Texas?
Statistically, he's the best freshman quarterback in the country, bar none.
Williams on the carry, not much there. Got back to the line of scrimmage. Eric Foster on the tackle.
I think that's a pretty good comparison, although I like McCoy. I like the poise and composure he showed in that Ohio State game, even though they lost that one. I think McCoy is going to be a real special quarterback.
He is. There's a lot of good freshman quarterbacks out there, including Tim Tebow over at Florida. And in their senior years here in Florida, Tebow was 4th in Florida Mr. Football. This man, Matt Grothy, was number 2.
That's when Tebow plays quarterback. Of course, Chris Leak, the starter there. Tebow does a lot of different things. Grothy in trouble. Sack back at the 35. Ramel Meekins with the sack for Rutgers.
Meekins a big part of this defense. He's undersized, only about 6 feet tall. A wrestler in high school, has a wrestler's mentality. And you can see him run all the way around and just relentlessly not be denied that sack.
Two tackles for Meekins tonight, both for negative yardage for the former walk-on. 3rd and 14, they come up the middle. Grothy in trouble. Ball is out. Was his arm going forward? Yes, it was. Incomplete.
Now we see an adjustment that Greg Schiano did on Rutgers defense. In the second quarter, Grothy hurt Rutgers with the pass, the long pass. Now they're starting to bring more pressure up the middle. This time they rush 6 people, and they're forcing the freshmen to make faster decisions. It led to 1 interception, and this time it leads to a tip ball.
Tichiana punted away on 4th down. Willie Foster ready to receive the kick, standing at his 35. Kicks it away from Foster. Takes 2 and 3. South Florida hops. Down to the 22. That's where Rutgers will take over.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Planners, celebrating 100 years of fresh taste. And Olivia, redefining high def.
Back in Tampa, temperature right around 70 degrees. Beautiful night for the Big East opener between South Florida and Rutgers. A lot of teams playing their first league games this weekend, including these 2 schools here tonight. Good one so far. South Florida leading by 1 as Rutgers takes over at its 22-yard line. And Teal to throw on 1st down, trying to set up the screen to Leonard, incomplete. By the way, Stephen Nicholas is back in the game at linebacker for South Florida. Woody George put pressure on Teal that time.
Well, the running game hasn't gotten Rutgers what they need. They haven't been able to sustain drives for touchdowns other than the opening drive. So what's happening is that Stephen Nicholas and this defense is taking away the run by stacking the box, and they're forcing Teal to be the man to defeat them.
That's what Jim Levitt told us in our meetings with him yesterday. He wants the ball in Mike Teal's hands, talking about the South Florida head coach, as he thinks that's the best way for South Florida to win the game. And penalty flags look like movement on the offensive line. They started too soon. Mike Fladell, the left guard.
Prior to snap, ball starts. 72 offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
And Trevor, your point about stacking the box is an issue that Rutgers is going to face every week throughout the season until they establish a wide receiver that can make a defense pay for man-on-man coverage out there. I mean, you have to get big chunks or they're going to keep coming after you.
They're 16th in rushing, but the guy's 106th in passing. That's got to improve.
Yeah, exactly.
On 2nd and 15. Teal this time finds a man, Campbell. Couple of yards shy of the 1st down. Nicholas tracks him down. Gain of about 13. 3rd and short coming up.
It looks like Nicholas is okay. He was covering Clark Harris, man for man, number 51. Harris doesn't get the ball, and so he sees the completion and comes off and tackles a wide receiver. I guess he's all right.
Well, you know, if you think about Rutgers and you see Nicholas again back in the ballgame, the wide receiver spot is hurting. Sean Tucker out. They've had some other guys hurt before the season began, so that they're really playing young guys at the wide receiver spot.
Teal on 3rd down and 2, again going for Campbell, and he pulls it in. Campbell had 7 catches all year coming into tonight, and in terms of wide receivers, he's been Teal's favorite target here tonight.
Talking about a young guy who has to step up and help Teal in the passing game, you know, Campbell's the guy. I mean, he's got great speed. He's a real determined guy. He wants to be a receiver. Moved over from being a defensive back. He's the guy that they're counting on right now.
He's a redshirt freshman from Plantation, Florida. Came down to Rutgers and South Florida. Running play to Ray Rice on 1st down at the 36. He got 3 or 4. Rice has been quiet here in the 3rd quarter.
We're talking about the passing attack and Campbell. Take a look at who their leading receivers are. You don't see a wide receiver listed who's on the field tonight. And there's a fullback in Leonard, a tight end in Harris, and then Sean Tucker, he's out with an injury.
Harris only one catch, been well covered by Nicholas, as we showed you. Second and 7 at the Scarlet 9:39. Here comes a blitz. It's picked up. Teal's pass is caught. Man, how did Underwood catch that? He had a man draped all over him. Ryan Gilliam tried to go for the pick. They have distracted Underwood, but he still caught it.
Well, the blitz is to try to rattle Teal, but look at number 23, Brian Leonard. He picks it up, and there's absolutely no pressure on Teal from Jeremy Burnett.
Great catch by Underwood. Got both feet down, actually. Didn't need to.
Oh, this drive, the young receivers have stepped up, and the old veteran, Leonard, has given Teal some time to throw.
2 catches for the sophomore, playing in place of the injured Sean Tucker, who's out at least until November with a fractured ankle. First down in midfield. They fake the end around, and Teal going deep for Harris, well overthrown. Well, Harris has not been 100% from a health standpoint. His knee has been bothering him, and maybe that's a reason why Harris has just one catch tonight. They haven't really thrown his way much. They tried that time, but the pass too long. Second and 10. Weiss gets the carry, trying to get outside, and Jared Bowie wraps him up, dumps him out of play on the sideline. No gain on the play, maybe even a loss of yardage.
Trevor, you talked about the speed. South Florida linebackers, they make that edge go away quickly because they just get out there in a hurry. We talk about St. Louis and Moffitt, the linebacking spot, along with Nicholas.
Most of Rice's yards have been between the tackles, which negates that speed. He doesn't have to outrun him. He can run right at him. But now it's up to Teal. 3rd and long. Can the quarterback perform?
Low snap. Teal picks it off the ground. Going deep. Tim Brown, the intended receiver, but not even close. Trey Williams on the coverage. 4th down and 10.
Well, Brown was double covered, but because the snap was low, Teal had to take his eyes off of the defense down to his shoes to pick up the ball. He had no opportunity to read what the safeties were doing. That low snap caused the incompletion.
Yeah, he had Campbell wide open on the same clear-out route that they ran in the first half. Campbell was standing about the 35-yard line by himself.
Radigan to boot it away to the dangerous Ian Randolph. Punt return for a touchdown this year, and he had 3 other punt returns for touchdowns this year, but were all called back because of penalties. Randolph, who fielded one inside the 5 last time, let that go. It almost hit him. Rutgers dives on it, but it's a touchback. South Florida's football at the 20-yard line. When we come back, what will Grothe do on this drive?
In all the world, there is some...
South Florida 6-1 at home the last 2 years. The only loss to a ranked West Virginia team. The Bulls leading Rutgers tonight by 1. Jim Levitt trying to build something here. Went to a bowl game last year. This program only in year 10 of existence. And their 6th year of 1A ball. They're off to a 3-1 start. Lead tonight, and a good running play on first down. Benjamin Williams for 8 yards.
In the first half, Grothe hit 4 different receivers for completions of over 20 yards. So Rutgers adjusts by bringing pressure in the second half. Here, 5 guys rush him, and defensive end Beckford gets the pressure. This time, 6 rush him, and they get a sack. Here, 6 players rush the passer. It leads to a play that doesn't go anywhere. And so this is what Rutgers has done to adjust. Make the freshman quarterback make his decisions quicker.
Rutgers, the 4th-ranked defense in college football, 5th in scoring defense entering tonight. Grothe to keep on second down. He got hammered at the 32 by Devron Thompson, but he picks up the first down. Now, a lot of games tomorrow, and as we do our first Friday night forecast Tough conference weekend, including that game on ABC at 8 Eastern tomorrow night. Ohio State and Iowa, guys.
That's a big game. And don't forget Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, a big game in the ACC. And again, a lot to lose for Georgia Tech in the conference if they fall.
Play fake. Crotty throws an interception. Picked off in the secondary by Ron Geralt. Back to the 32-yard line of South Florida. Second INT thrown by Grothy tonight.
Trevor, you were talking about pressure in the second half. Your good coordinators make sure they save good pressure packages for the second half. You don't want to show everything in the first half. And now, Geralt makes a pick here. All the pressure eventually had an impact.
And the impact there was Grothy was looking for the pressure.
Exactly.
That time it didn't come.
Exactly.
And he threw the ball faster than he had to into a stacked defensive backfield.
Almost as many completions to the other team. 2 interceptions, 3 completions to his teammates in the second half. 25-yard return puts the ball on the South Florida 31. Only the 7th carry for Ray Rice in the third quarter after 18 in the first half, and he only got a yard. Ben Moffitt, the middle linebacker, on the stop. Moffitt, the leader of this defense. He's married, he's got 2 children, and he drives 55 miles each way to campus for practice. Very dedicated young man in a lot of ways. 2nd and 9 at the 30-yard line. Sweep to Rice. Good cutback. Spun down at the 20. 10-yard gain. Jeremy Burnett made the tackle, but it's a first down.
Now Rice gets the credit, and he gets the slow-mo on TV, but it's Brian Leonard that throws a terrific block on South Florida's probably fastest linebacker, Stephen Nicholas, number 51, and opened the way for Rice.
We talked about it at the beginning. The cutback for Rice is huge. And that's the thing that he's really dangerous with, and the linebackers have to make sure they don't overrun that. Yet, he forces you to.
7 straight games over 100 yards rushing for Ray Rice. Ties a school record set by J.J. Jennings, who's in the stands, by the way, tonight. Hand off to Leonard, and he just runs over Trey Williams down to the 15 for 5 yards. Nice change of pace for Rutgers, and Rod, you feel this is the best backfield in the country.
I think they just do so much. So many teams have a one-back set that they don't use a true fullback. And these guys have a true fullback and a running back, and they both can catch it, they both can block, and they're both tremendous runners. They could be one-back runners themselves in a system like that.
Trev, do you see a better backfield in the country?
No, I think this is definitely one of the best because they are so versatile.
But Rutgers, despite 143 yards rushing, trails by a point to South Florida as we go to the 4th. Can the Scarlet Knights punch it in and recapture the lead after South Florida scored twice on rushing touchdowns in the first quarter? Only 3 total points in the third. Rice and Leonard, perhaps the best backfield in the country, done a good job. Rice averaging 150 yards a game. Already a touchdown. Who will touch it here on 2nd and 5 at the 15 of South Florida? They both flank Teal, who's in shotgun. It'll be Rice. Slowed down at the 13-yard line by Ben Moffitt. I mentioned that Rice is well over 100 yards for the 7th straight game. Coming into this game, 4th in the country in rushing. Guys, if he keeps up at this pace, he's got 10 touchdowns, 750 yards rushing. He's a sophomore. Does he get any Heisman consideration in your opinion?
I don't think it would be significant. It's not just about stats. It's about when you perform. That's why Alex Rodriguez is getting so much grief for the Yankees. You got to deliver at the right time. If he does it against West Virginia or Louisville, then he'll get some consideration.
3rd and 2 at the 12-yard line. And they will give it to Rice. And he's able to get past the marker to the 9-yard line. Good vision there by Rice. Waited for that hole to open up and nosedive for what appears to be a first down.
You're talking about the Heisman issue with Rice. The reason that Troy Smith is the leader right now is because he's made such an impact in big games. His game against Texas was such a huge impact, and then he had the signature highlight against Penn State.
First down and goal from the 10. Leonard is in the backfield. That's Harris in motion. Leonard down to about the 7 for 3 yards. Second and goal coming up. Well, Trevor made the point in the first half that, let's say Ohio State loses to Iowa, even if Smith's numbers are good, doesn't that hurt Smith again and open this thing wide up, make it wide open?
I think it is wide open. Let's remember, it's early. You know, we're just ending September. People can still play their way in.
Keep in mind also that Iowa quarterback Drew Tate is 16-1 at home in his career.
Their loss was against Michigan last year. On second and goal, Rice trying to get to the outside, and he does, and Rice is in. Touchdown Rutgers. Great run by the sophomore.
Did you see the acceleration on that? This guy's been inside all night. Look at him now. He's outrunning some pretty fast guys to the corner.
Trey Williams, a cornerback, he's used to covering man for man the fastest receivers in the Big East and doing it well, and Rice outran him.
Second rushing touchdown tonight, 11th on the season. And Rutgers going for 2. But a timeout first.
Timeout, South Florida. Their first timeout.
It's the fourth quarter. Is this the right decision here, guys, for Rutgers to go for 2?
I don't have a problem with it. You're in the fourth quarter. You're up by 5. You can look at your chart now. You know, you're late in the ball game. Now you make your 2-point conversion. You're up by 7. I don't have a problem with it. He's following the rule.
Well, it is. Plus, with the new timing rules, the game tends to go faster, especially at the end, the last 5 minutes or so. There aren't that many possessions left for each of these teams, and so I think going for 2 now is a good idea.
Well, Ray Rice may not end up getting Heisman consideration, but he's got to be in the mix for, at least early on, for a Player of the Year. Obviously, you have Steve Slayton in West Virginia. You got Brom and Bush hurt at Louisville. How will those guys come back? But clearly, Ray Rice is showing that he's one of the best players in this league.
Oh, I think that's right, and we wouldn't kick him out of the Heisman race just yet. We're just saying that he's got to perform in a game against a big-time opponent. If he does that, then yes, if this is a 10-0 Rutgers team and they've beaten West Virginia, they got a chance. You can watch him tonight. I mean, just look at what he's done. And you can tell he's a great player. Look at him here, inside, powerful, running through tackles. He shows you great vision. He finds the lane, and he gets going on it. He's a great player.
And keep in mind, this is against a very fast defense, and this is against a defense that's stacked to stop him, because they want the ball in the hands of the quarterback, Mike Teal, who isn't producing as well as Rice. So the defense wants to take him away, and they haven't been able to.
Again, tying the school record for most consecutive 100-yard games. He's run it 29 times out of the game here, though, as they go for 2 after the touchdown by Rice. Teal rolling out, and they're going to be short. It's incomplete anyway. Underwood, even if he caught it, would have been short of the goal line. So they fail on the 2-point conversion.
When you throw this ball, Trevor, you have to put it to where the receiver can catch it and run. If you make him turn, you got no chance.
Broken up by Trey Williams, who's had a terrific game, had an interception earlier in the contest, and a pass break up there to make it a 5-point lead.
Football.
Former Big East Player of the Year, Donovan McNabb, has to be pleased and impressed with what he's seen out of Ray Rice. Big East Offensive Player of the Year candidate. 7-yard touchdown run, all running plays on that Rutgers scoring drive to take a 5-point lead.
You talk about the Big East coming back. Hey, getting Syracuse and Pitt back in the mix would really help the Big East, because those schools are traditional powers.
Well, Syracuse has been so bad last year that people sort of forget about him, but Greg Robinson as the head coach has a secret weapon that no one will ever know about. Bob Wiley, the offensive line coach, 15 years in the NFL coaching, one of the best teachers of technique that you'll ever see in college football.
Signs of life, though, up in central New York as Syracuse has won 2 in a row. Pittsburgh, you guys saw them earlier in the season, off to a good start as well. Here's Erskine on the return, and he gets stoned at the 20-yard line. Early fourth quarter, Rutgers leading by 5, but a failed 2-point conversion after the Rice touchdown. We're here in Tampa, Raymond James Stadium. Rutgers trying to stay unbeaten and stay ranked. They're in the top 25 for the first time in 30 years. Dave Pasch, Rod Gilmore, Trevor Maddich, Tina Dixon, and Matt Grothe impressing for South Florida at quarterback.
Well, he really did some great stuff in the first half. Then he struggled in the second half. A lot more pressure. He's been under pressure the entire second half. Threw an interception, had some chances where he was knocked down. A second pick thrown as well. And he hasn't been loose running the ball either in the second half.
And a bad snap. Grothe picks it up at the 5, and he's going to throw it away. Greg Schiano wants grounding.
It should be grounding. If he doesn't get outside the tackle box, then that ball's got to go past the line of scrimmage.
And now they throw the penalty flag. They had to be convinced by the Rutgers head coach, but penalty and a loss of down coming up.
Penfield grounding. Number 11 on the offense. Foul is loss of down at the spot of the foul. Second down.
Now this is grounding either way you look at it. If he is outside the tackle box, it has to go beyond the line of scrimmage. If he's in the tackle box, which is right there, then there has to be a receiver. So now he's in the tackle box, and there's no receiver over there. Where's anybody in green? That's grounding.
South Florida scored touchdowns on its last 2 possessions of the first half. To start the second half, drives ended in a pick, punt, interception, and trouble again as Dorsey goes down to the line of scrimmage, and they got a third down at about 24 coming up. They're going to be punting it again on their 4th possession of the second half.
And if they do, they will be giving Rutgers great field position and putting the South Florida defense in a bad spot, and you're already in the 4th quarter down by 5. Here's a look at what they've done on their last 4 drives. Interception, punt.
Now they're
interception.
In the second quarter it happened where they had to punt out of their own end zone. It was a horrible kick. Rutgers got the ball at the 25 and had to settle for a field goal. That'd be the best case scenario for Rutgers, for South Florida, should that happen again. Another timeout called by South Florida. They'll only have one left.
Timeout. South Florida. Their second timeout.
So can Grothe work some more magic here on 3rd down and 24? His team trails by 5.
It's too small. Car's too small.
3rd down and 24 coming up for South Florida. The Bulls have had punting problems all year, including tonight. Grothe has quick kicked it in the past. We'll see what he does here. He's going to pass out of his own end zone. Steps up, hit as he delivers, and it's out of bounds. He got smoked in the end zone. Ramel Meekins made the stick on the quarterback.
Well, the second half has been nothing but pressure on Grothe. He's been hit, knocked around a lot. He was barely touched in the first half in the pocket.
Justin Tichy standing at the back of the end zone. Willie Foster awaits at the South Florida 35. And a good bounce for South Florida. Still, Rutgers will start inside Bull territory at the 44, leading by 5. And the way things are going offensively for South Florida, perhaps a chance to ice it if Rutgers can get a touchdown, don't you think?
Well, you figure that Rutgers would like to pound the ball, keep the clock running, take advantage of where they are on the field, and put the freshman in a real tough spot for South Florida when he gets back on the field.
The numbers for Teal, not good, but they haven't really put him in a position where he's had to throw. They run the ball so well, 158 yards on the ground, most of those by Ray Rice. South Florida defense has stepped up a bunch of times tonight. What will they do here? Little quick two-handed pitch to Rice. Cut down at the 39-yard line. Jerome Murphy on the stop.
Trevor, it's a big game for Rutgers, not just because they're ranked for the first time in about 30 years or whatever it is, something like that, but also because they're building their program with recruiting in Florida. They're already getting some of the best players in New York and New Jersey. They want to really solidify things in Florida.
22 of their players are from South Florida.
Only 51 yards for South Florida in the second half. 2nd and 5. Leonard comes up about a yard and a half shy of the first down. Jeremy Burnett on the tackle. Third down and 2 coming up for Rutgers. What's the play here, guys? You've been able to pick it up on the ground with Rice and Leonard.
Yeah. If 27 is in the ball game, 27 ought to get the ball.
And 23 ought to lead the way.
Rice gets it. And he's able to get the first down to the 33-yard line. Make that, it was Rice, it was Leonard on the block.
Leonard gets the edge, and then Rice cuts it back up inside. That is great power by Rice, who's a little guy, and goes over Moffitt, who's a big linebacker.
Well, take a look. I mean, we talked about it earlier. You can't find Rice when he's behind that big offensive line. You've got a guy 6'8", a couple guys 6'5".
And Leonard is 6'2", 235 in front of him in the backfield. Rice again picking a hole, keeping his balance. Finally wrestled to the turf at the 29 by Danny Verpel. Up 3 or 4 there for Ray Rice.
I mean, this is what you see if you're trying to find Rice. He's behind a 6'3" guard, 6'5" in Cameron Stevenson, 63, and you're trying to look around those big guys and find him, and the next thing you know, he's pounding into you.
And he's got 2 guys in front of him. When he finally gets stood up, other guys at his feet, he still doesn't fall backwards.
32 carries for Rice tonight. The last 11 plays for Rutgers have been rushing plays. Out of the shotgun, Teal on 2nd and 6. Inside handoff to Leonard. Tackled from behind to the 26 by Alan Cray. He'll come up 2 or 3 yards shy of the first down. Remember, only 1 timeout left for South Florida because it had to burn 2 earlier this quarter.
And if you are South Florida, you're thinking limit Rutgers to a field goal, because if you can do that, you've just got a 1-possession game and you have plenty of time left.
Impressed with Rutgers tonight, guys?
Oh, yeah. Their running game, I think, is great. And that's the one thing about them that really stands out, and their speed on defense.
Will they make it 13 straight runs? Nobody's in the backfield but Teal, who's in the shotgun on 3rd and 3. Quick pass to Leonard, breaks a tackle, flag down. Leonard got the first down. Jared Bowie on the tackle, but again a penalty marker in on the play.
There's Tyquan Underwood trying to block Pat St. Louis, the linebacker.
And holding is the call on Rutgers. That was big for South Florida because it was a first down pickup.
Yeah, and I'm not crazy about that. I think when you have 2 guys like Leonard and Rice.
Holding. Number 7 on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
You should keep 1 in the backfield. I mean, on a 3rd and 3, and in this territory, you'd always have the threat of using them in the run game, and even if you didn't get it, you might go for it on 4th down on a 4th and 1.
Even if they put 9 guys in the box again, They've still been able to pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, you put them out to the flat there, you're you got to have the ball in your quarterback's hands.
Well, now they take it away from those running backs on 3rd and short and put it into the hands of Mike Teal again on 3rd and long.
Unless you think you're in 4-down territory.
Well, I think right now they have to think 4 downs unless they get closer for a field goal. Because right now you're looking at a 52, 53-yarder.
On 3rd and 13, Teal trying to set up the screen, incomplete. Nicholas on the coverage of Leonard, who wants a penalty, thought he was tackled before the ball got there, but no penalty marker on the play.
Yeah, Nicholas might have got away with one.
Well, you can't have pass interference on a pass behind the line of scrimmage, but you can have defensive holding. And right there, he's got a hold of him. I think that's a good. I think it's a non-call that Rutgers should have got. Yeah.
Nicholas got away with one.
It would have been an automatic first down for Rutgers. Instead, it's 4th down. It appears the Knights are going to go for it.
But that is not a reviewable play.
Right. Well, they had the offense on the field, but now they're going to send out the kicking team and try a long field goal. So if this is not good, South Florida will get great starting field position for this drive.
Well, being such a long field goal, it's susceptible to being blocked because he's got to get a lot behind it.
Ito's longest 39 this year. This from 53. And it is good! A career-long 53-yarder by Jeremy Ito, and the lead is 8 for Rutgers.
Bobby Bowden is in his team hotel room tonight wondering, why can't I get a kicker like they have at Rutgers?
Still a one-possession game, though. 7 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Greg Schiano's team leading by 8.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Nissan, proud presenter of the 2006 Heisman. Visit theheismanvote.com to cast your vote. And Waste Management. From everyday collection to environmental protection, think green. Think Waste Management.
From the Shark exhibit at the Florida Aquarium in Tampa, welcome back to ESPN2's College Football Primetime.
Now that guy's definitely more of a man than 3 of us.
How do you do that? Swimming with the Sharks?
How do you do that? Kick a 53-yard field goal. Kicked a 52-yarder in the Insight Bowl last year. So the 53-yarder is a career long and the second longest in school history.
I tell you, that kind of stuff, kicking a field goal like that and playing good defense, that's finishing ball games. I mean, that's something you're getting out of Rutgers that maybe you didn't get in the past.
One possession game. Remember, Rutgers went for 2 after its last touchdown instead of the PAT. Otherwise, it would be a 2-possession game.
It'll be 1st and 10 balls.
Well, this is the kick. Ito's got a lot of leg. This would have been good from even deeper. He knows it. He's going to his coach and saying, hey, coach, I did it. Thanks for the confidence. I don't think Schiano can quite believe it.
Rutgers ranked for the first time since 1976. That's also the last time they were 5-0. They finished 11-0 that year, but didn't go to a bowl game back in 1976. They went to a bowl last year, their first since '78. Schiano trying to build something with the Scarlet Knights. Grothy to the air, finds Randolph on 1st down. Tracked down after minimal gain by Manny Collins.
Hey, Trevor, during the commercial break, what did we say South Florida should do?
Got to throw short passes to Randolph and let him be a punt returner. Let him run.
Yep. And that's how they started the game. It's how they started the second half. It's the way they can get chunks of yardage without letting the quarterback get hit.
Well, if they're going to bring pressure, there'll be more space for Randolph. They should stick with this.
That's why you guys are up here instead of in the Shark Tank. That could change, though, as the season goes along. On 2nd down, there's a man wide open in the middle of the field. Amari Jackson was uncovered at the 47-yard line. Gain of 26. 1st down, South Florida.
Well, it's that 2-deep coverage we talked about earlier. And where is that weak? It's weak in the middle of the field. You attack it with an inside receiver, or you attack it. Look how open it is in there.
1st down.
That's wide open. You attack that with either your tight end or your slot receiver.
1st down from the 47. Grothy going to work again. Pumps. Throwing on the run, another open man. It's Jackson again. And pushed out of play by Manny Collins. Tina Dixon has more on freshman quarterback Matt Grothe.
Well, thanks, Dave. And, I asked Matt Grothe earlier, how do you stay calm under pressure? And he says, I've been playing football since I was 6 years old, and each game I learned how to relax a little bit more. He says he tries not to panic. It affects his teams. And, an example, as he threw those 2 interceptions early in the game, he came off, sat on the bench, reviewed the play upstairs, and very calmly explained it with his teammates.
And his poise certainly will be challenged on this drive, Tina. First down and a design run. Grothe, there's a flag down as Grothe lost the ball at the 25-yard line. Fumbled it. Rutgers recovers. Brandon Rencart forced the fumble, and Rutgers has it, but again a penalty marker on the play.
Illegal block. Right to the offense. Penalties decline. First down.
So Grothe turns it over. That's the third giveaway by South Florida tonight.
Rod, you talked about finishing games. The defense needed a big stop. Grothe's on a roll. The offense is moving. But now as a freshman, he's got that ball out. And it gets knocked out by Rencart. And huge play.
He was heading into traffic, and a freshman mistake. He didn't protect the football.
Rencart with a forced fumble and the recovery.
Yep. He just took it away from him. And that ball was behind Grothe's back. He kind of lost it. It was starting to come out.
Clock running on the change of possession. Remember, South Florida has just one timeout left, so they desperately need a 3-and-out by Rutgers. After the turnover, they go to Rice, and he breaks the tackle. It breaks free. Cuts it back at the 35 and finally tackled at the 33 by Jenkins and Verpale.
Trevor, we talked about teams learning how to win. Look at what Rutgers has done. They made a 53-yard field goal. They caused a turnover, and now they turned on the running game.
Brian Leonard told us that in the past they hoped to win, but now they expect to win. And he says the difference is you make plays like this. You make plays like that turnover that led to this play. Instead of hoping somebody else does something, this team now has learned to make something happen.
Over 200 yards for Ray Rice after that 44-yard jaunt. From the 31. Rice with 3 or 4 more to the 27. And as those yards continue to pile up for Ray Rice, does he start to come into the Heisman picture at all?
Well, I don't know how you feel about it, Trevor, but I think he still has to do it against a big-time team. I mean, you look who's out there. You've got Troy Smith. You've got Brady Quinn. You've got Adrian Peterson. You've got Wolf at Northern Illinois. You got to do it against somebody big. Wolf's done it against Ohio State.
809 yards, 11 touchdowns on the year, 2 TDs tonight. Averaging close to 6 yards a pop. Brian Leonard the back on 2nd and 6. Rutgers taking that play clock down to 1. Leonard stopped at the 25, so it'll bring up 3rd down at about 4, and South Florida needs a stop. Stephen Nicholas made the tackle on that play there.
And they really can't afford to use their timeout. They only have 1 left because they burned a couple earlier on.
Well, that timeout will allow them to work the middle of the field.
I missed you on the Ray Rice and Heisman.
I agree with you that he needs to do it against big competition, which he hasn't had yet.
The 4 opponents prior to tonight for Rutgers, a combined 1 win against the Division 1A school. But they will play Louisville on a Thursday night on ESPN later in the year, and also a game at West Virginia. Rice on 3rd down, taken down. Clock running, and a 4th down coming up. Any more points for Rutgers would make it a 2-possession game. St. Louis on the tackle, and he got hurt on the play.
I might think about burning my timeout here if I were South Florida.
They're going to.
Timeout, South Florida. Their final timeout.
So none remaining. If you're Rutgers, if you get points, 2-possession game certainly tough for South Florida to come back. Do you go for it, though? And your kicker just made a 53-yarder, so this is certainly in his range, 42, 43 yards. But if you pick up the first down, the game's definitely over.
Well, I think Rutgers will kick it here. I mean, you have to have a lot of confidence in your kicker after nailing the 53-yarder, and you feel you in the game with the kick. You can do it now. You've got a higher percentage of making that kick than picking up the fourth down.
You've got to ask yourself, what do the premier programs do in a situation like this? Play it cautious, play it not to lose, or do you play it to win it?
Greg Schiano just got really upset with his special teams guys because Ito started to run onto the field. He didn't want to give away to South Florida what he was going to do, so he told him to get back to the sideline. Now we'll see if he sticks with a field goal, but he was upset that his guys started to run out there.
Well, if you take the field goal here, you're in good shape. You got a pretty good chance of making it. If you don't take the field goal and you go for it on fourth down and you do not make it, you give the ball back to South Florida with more than 2.5 minutes, and it's a one-possession game. That's a risk probably not worth taking.
Ito perfect tonight. Hit a 40-yarder, 53-yarder, 32-yarder. This will be a 42-yard attempt. Try to make it a two-possession game. And it's blocked. It's picked up by Rutgers. South Florida will take over at its 34-yard line. Stephen Nicholas blocked the field goal.
Wow. Stephen Nicholas, who had the bad shoulder, back on the field, makes the block. Levitt's one happy coach.
I don't know how you forget to block Nicholas on that.
Grothy on first down in trouble. And he's sacked back at the 28. Clock running. South Florida without a timeout. Jamal Westerman on the sack for Rutgers.
You can't have sacks in this situation if you're South Florida. You have to get rid of the ball. You have to throw in rhythm, on time.
South Florida trying to hurry up. 2nd and 15. Grothy has time. Now the pocket breaks down, but he gets it away to Randolph. Randolph with a couple of beautiful moves. Going to be close to the first down. They're going to stop the clock here so they can measure. Devin McCourty on the tackle. They're going to stop it and measure it, so that allows South Florida to take a little bit of a breath.
Well, Randolph is the guy you want to get the ball to. He's the fastest player on the offense. He's a great kick returner. At one point over 2 games this season, he returned 3 punts for touchdown, or 4 punts for touchdowns, had 3 of them called back because of penalties. But that kind of speed and that kind of shiftiness is what they need for him to catch a shorter pass, make somebody miss, and then go for a long play.
They did not get it, so it's 3rd down and 1. South Florida was going to huddle up, and now they got to hurry to the line because as soon as they signal ready for play, the clock will start.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot here. They need to be ready to go. They're not ready to go yet. And they probably should just go ahead and run a sneak and pick it up and then get right back on the line and run their next play.
Now they're measuring again, just trying to get it exactly placed. Again, South Florida needs a touchdown and a converted 2-point conversion to tie the game, and they do not have any timeouts remaining.
3rd and short.
If it is a first down, the clock will start or stop for them to reset the chains, and then it would start again on the ready for play.
Here's Ian Randolph.
And Grothy on the quarterback sneak. I don't know if he got it. Rutgers knew that was coming. They will stop it for a measurement.
So, I thought they should have thrown that ball deep there. Because even if they failed, they would have had a chance to do this on 4th down. And Rutgers was lined up to stop that play on 3rd down. I thought this was their best chance to get the ball out into space to Randolph.
Now the yellow line is pretty good. It appears from that position and that spot that it's a first down. Let's see if the sticks confirm it. Yep, first down, South Florida.
The yellow line is always correct.
Jim Levitt saying, get up there. We're going to want to snap it as soon as they start it. Minute 44 to go in the fourth quarter. No timeouts remaining for the Bulls. Grothy hit as he throws, and what a catch by S.J. Green. He's a couple of yards short of the first down, but the clock continues to run.
Rutgers is giving the short pass. They're playing 3 across deep or sometimes 4 across deep, taking away the deep ball but allowing the short pass.
Grothy might have been banged up on that play, was hobbling a bit downfield. Grothy takes off, and it appears that he's got the first down at the 42-yard line. On the spot wasn't very good. Wow, they marked it about a yard shy of the first down. It looked like he was closer than that. Eric Foster on the tackle. So it's 3rd down and 1. They will not stop the clock for a measurement here. Grothy, open man is Edwards. First down, and the clock will stop. And you got to spike it, right?
No, there's a late hit. There's a late hit on Rutgers. They hit Grothy.
Wow. They'll tack on 15 more yards.
Coming faster. 35 on the defense. 15 yards from the end of the line. First down.
Wow, William Beckford hits Matt Grothy late.
Now watch the end of this. He let it go, and now here comes just a gratuitous hit by Beckford after Grothy was already knocked down by McCourty.
There's plenty of time. They need to get the snap off, but they don't need to burn a play yet.
Yeah, you're at the 20-yard line. Clock under 40 seconds in the fourth quarter. Grothy going to the sideline. There was contact and a flag down. Roberson bumps Amp Hill as Grothy hobbles to the line of scrimmage.
I don't know about that one. I don't know that the ball was catchable. And it also looked like that was a pretty good attempt by Roberson just to go up after the ball. And he was behind the receiver.
Pass interference. Number 11 on the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. First down.
But take a look at number 11, Roberson. He comes up and makes contact from behind. If that had been from the side, you could say it was both going for the ball. But look at Coach Levitt. Absolutely calling for that one.
Back-to-back key penalties by Rutgers of 15 yards apiece. The late hit on the quarterback, and now the pass interference. First down and goal at the 6. South Florida's trailed in the second half of every game this year, winning 3 out of those 4. Trying to make it 4 out of 5. Grothy on first down. Eludes pressure. Penalty flag down. And it's a touchdown! Amari Jackson caught it, but again a penalty flag down. And it's a hold on South Florida. Wipe off the touchdown.
Fed Watson blocking Jamal Westerman. He held him. And this defensive line of Rutgers has been spectacular in pressuring Grothy.
Illegal block in the back. Number 55 on the offense. 10-yard penalty on the previous spot. Still first down.
Number 90 is Westerman. He gets a hold, grabs the jersey, and then pushes him down. And Coach Levitt thought he had it. He did have it, but
still a chance, though. Ball outside the 15-yard line against South Florida without a timeout. They fumble the snap. Grothy scoops, going end zone, and it's incomplete, nearly intercepted. Ian Randolph, the intended receiver, through the hands of a Rutgers DB.
Grothy made the right choice, though. He spotted the 2 deep coverage in the middle open. He just couldn't get it there quickly enough.
Clock stops with 22 seconds remaining. Again, South Florida needs a touchdown and a successful 2-point conversion to tie the game. No timeouts remaining.
Middle of the field. The middle of the field will be open again.
They cannot get a first down. It's 2nd and goal. Grothy going to the end zone again, and it is caught. Touchdown, South Florida. Ian Randolph pulled it in. And now South Florida must go for 2. What a job by the redshirt freshman quarterback, Matt Grothy. 8-play, 66-yard drive. And it appears that Rutgers is going to call a timeout.
Well, he did a great job of recognizing what Rutgers was doing defensively. This play is being reviewed. But Grothy did a great job of spotting the 2 deep coverage and seeing the middle was wide open. Take a look. You see number 80 Randolph going into that vacated area in the middle. Catch 1 foot 2 feet. That's clearly a touchdown.
That's the second time we've seen Devron Thompson, the middle linebacker, in coverage and being about 5 yards in front of the receiver.
Well, that's the design of the defense. You have the deep half covered, and the linebacker is asked to run back and get deep. Now, if you're playing a 3 deep coverage, you have a safety in the middle. But they did not choose to do that. They left 2 safeties deep and left the middle open.
Well, what's the call here, guys, for South Florida? They got to come up with a 2-point conversion.
I think you want the ball.
The ruling on the field was confirmed. Touchdown.
So it's a touchdown.
Yeah, you want the ball in the hands of Grothy. Give him an opportunity to make a play with his feet or his arm. You want him to have a run-pass option down here.
But if you're Rutgers, you know that. And so you blitz linebackers or corners off the edges to keep him from getting out of the pocket. We may see a straight quarterback draw here if he runs.
Grothy still hobbling. Got hit a couple of times on this drive. Again, 2 penalties on Rutgers. 1 for roughing the passer, another for pass interference. Gave South Florida a chance at the touchdown.
Keep in mind, Jackson is 6'5", has an advantage out there.
Here's the 2-point conversion. Grothy in the shotgun. And Grothy, and it's incomplete. And Hill, the intended receiver. No 2-point conversion. And now South Florida will have to try an onside kick.
Well, this is spectacular coverage by Jason McCourty. He's right there. He keeps his eyes on the ball, and he strips it out.
A lot of contact, though, guys.
Yeah, well, you got to let him fight for the ball. That ball was thrown where Hill could get it. He couldn't catch it cleanly, and that allowed the corner an opportunity to knock the ball out.
So now South Florida has to come up with the onside kick. And then we'll get, if it recovers it, maybe 2 plays. They don't have any timeouts left, so even if they recover, they would have to get something toward the sideline, put them in a position for a game-winning field goal. But Rutgers, obviously, if it recovers, ends the game.
Wow.
There's some contact. But no penalty flag on that 2-point drop.
You have to let guys play. Let them determine who the winner of the ball game is by the players, not by flags.
Well, that pass interference penalty that helped get them down there, the defender was behind the receiver when the contact occurred. On that one, the defender was alongside the receiver, both of them going for the ball. That's why it was not called.
Justin Tichy will kick for South Florida. It has to get 10 yards if you're South Florida before you can recover it. And Rutgers calls a timeout just as South Florida's ready to kick it. Well, regardless of what happens here in the last 15 seconds, based on what you guys have seen tonight from Rutgers, are the Scarlet Knights the third best team in the Big East? You got West Virginia and Louisville, 2 top 10 teams. Is Rutgers number 3?
Absolutely. This is a good football team. They're playing them on the road, the best team they've played all year. And when South Florida seemed to gain momentum, Rutgers kept plugging away, they kept making plays, and they refused to wilt. And I think that's something this program hasn't had for many decades. Now all of a sudden they've learned to perform that way.
Well, I think the jury is still out a little bit about who the best third team is in the Big East because, you know, Pitt, in my mind, is a very good team. They're really a lot faster than they were before, and I think that's going to be quite a matchup when those two teams get together.
Matt Grothe, redshirt freshman quarterback, with a touchdown pass to get Jim Leavitt's team within 2. They fail the 2-point conversion, and now they have to come up with the onside kick.
I would say this looks like a top 25 team to me in Rutgers.
Justin Tichy to kick. Trying to set it up against that tee so he can hammer it into the ground and hope that a teammate can get it on the hop. Six South Florida players to the bottom of your screen. Got to go 10 yards. And it's caught by a South Florida player, but did he go 10 yards? Mike Jenkins caught it, but did he touch it before it went 10 yards? It looked like he got it before it went 10 yards.
Yeah, there's one official pointing down at the 44-yard line.
Great effort by Jenkins.
Interestingly, the official that was closest, standing on the 45-yard line, did not call it.
It's under review.
So they're going to review it, but what was the ruling on the field? Again, we need a ruling on the field because the video evidence has to be indisputable to overturn the ruling on the field. It appears they're giving the ball to Rutgers, but no official signal yet. Watch Jenkins come flying in here. Where does he touch it? Hard to tell from that angle.
The guy to watch is that guy, the official. Now, watch where he comes in. He's the one that's going to make the ruling on the field, and you can see that he's short of the line at the top of your screen.
Wow.
He's short of the line as he walks in.
Wow, that is a tough one because look how high he is in the air. Where's the ball when he's in the air? That's close. That is maybe just a little bit short of it. It's really close.
And guys, Brian Leonard is down for Rutgers. Their star fullback gets injured on that play. They're helping Leonard to his feet.
There's a train wreck down there with everybody going for that football and an onside kick. But again, the guy to watch, you see the ball, but look at this official. He's seeing it right down the line. And take a look where his feet are as he runs down to spot this ball.
I think he's short, guys, based on where he touched it, don't you?
Well, the official that Trev circled was the guy who came down the line pointing to the ground saying Rutgers ball right there.
Yeah. And here, you can see here, it looks like he's short of that line.
You see where Leonard gets hit there also, but he is okay.
Yeah, he
St.
took
Louis
it in the ribs.
Yeah, St. Louis drilled him. Here we go. We'll find out whose football it is.
Upon review, there's indisputable video evidence that the kicking team touched the ball prior to it going 10 yards. It'll be Rutgers ball on the 44-yard line. First down.
So Rutgers can take a knee and will stay undefeated. And it appears that that was the right call from upstairs by the replay crew.
There are a bunch of Oklahoma Sooners in their team hotel right now saying, where was this replay crew a couple weeks ago?
Did we actually get a ruling on the field ever? I'm not sure we did.
They didn't announce it, but where the official was standing, it looked like they awarded it to Rutgers.
And the change of possession, the clock runs, so they don't even have to come out there and down it. Rutgers stays unbeaten, 5-0 for the first time in 30 years. They went undefeated back in 1976. That was also the last time they were ranked prior to this week. Here to stay in the rankings for Greg Schiano and the Scarlet Knights? Well, time will tell as the Big East season rolls on. But they are off to a 5-0 start. Great game, South Florida, even without 3 starters due to suspension. Thanks to that man, Matt Grothe, redshirt freshman quarterback. Going to be a very competitive team in this conference, don't you think?
I think they're going to be pretty good when they get their suspended starters and injured players back later this year. Don't want to play them later.
South Florida falls to 3-2. Rutgers goes to 5-0.
Rutgers answered some questions tonight. People said they didn't play anybody, but this is playing somebody and on the road.
Final score tonight, Rutgers 22, South Florida 20. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more on this game, we'll be on ESPN News in just a moment to wrap things up. Quite frankly, with Stephen A. Smith coming up next on ESPN2. For Rod Gilmore, Trevor Maddich, and Tina Dixon, I'm Dave Pash. So long from Tampa, where Rutgers stays unbeaten.
From the worldwide leader in sports, this is Game Time on ESPN News.
Get you started with a great game between Rutgers and South Florida. Scarlet Knights playing their first game as a ranked team since 1976. Off to a good start. It's Ray Rice in the first quarter, and Rutgers up 7-0. Second quarter, USF gets on the board thanks to this quarterback sneak by Matt Grothe. Grothe, redshirt freshman. Rutgers can run the football. They have trouble throwing it. Mike Teal, this is his 6th INT of the season against only 2 touchdowns. Trey Williams gets him here. And the Bulls would make the Scarlet Knights pay. Redshirt freshman Matt Grothe, who leads the team in rushing. He's 10th nationally in total offense, right through the heart of that Rutgers defense, which came in 11th nationally against the run. And South Florida takes its first lead of the game, 14-10. That was the score at the half. Fourth quarter now. Rutgers down by a point. It's Ray Rice. Ran for close to 200 yards. However, Rutgers would miss the 2-point conversion, so it's still 19-14. They got a field goal. It's 22-14. 22 seconds left to go. Grothe stepping up to Ian Randolph. Touchdown, South Florida. So they're down 2, going for 2. But watch what happens here. They overload the right side. They have one receiver split on the left. That's the way they go, and that's what happens. Had man-on-man coverage, and they couldn't come up with a 2-point conversion, but it's still not over because South Florida has to go for the onside kick. It's got to go 10 yards. Mike Jenkins comes down with it, but did he go beyond the 10-yard marker? Or was it before the 10-yard mark? We'll take another look. They had to review it upstairs. This was very close. Mike Jenkins gets up high to come down with this one, but as you can see here, the ball goes about 9.5 yards before he touches it, so just shy of that 10 yards it had to go. So they overruled it, and it turns out that Rutgers is able to have possession of the football. They took a knee, and they win it by the final of 22-20. So Rutgers 5-0 for the first time since 1976 when they went undefeated at 11-0. It's also the last time they played a game as a ranked team. Time now for post-game extra.
And Rutgers wins it. State University of New Jersey with its first ever win in the state of Florida. and it's a 22-20 victory. Did they prove to you guys, Rutgers, that they're a ranked team?
I think they look like a top 25 team to me. Particularly, I was impressed with Ray Rice and the way that they ran the football. And then in the fourth quarter, when they had to make some plays, they made plays. It wasn't until late when they had a couple penalties that it looked like the game was in doubt.
That's what impresses me here. I mean, they got some criticism that the teams they beat so far this year weren't very good, but they come down to play a solid South Florida team. South Florida went on some runs. They took the momentum. Rutgers had the opportunity to wilt. They did not. They stayed in. They made the plays. And I think that's the biggest difference between this team and Rutgers teams past.
Ray Rice, 7th straight game, over 100 yards rushing, tying a school record at Rutgers.
Oh, he was just phenomenal. I mean, he's not a big guy, but he's very powerful, very strong. We saw him take the ball inside, and we saw him show speed to the outside. He had a phenomenal night. He was the workhorse for this team.
And this against a South Florida defense that was stacked to stop him. They knew he would be the focal point of the offense. They wanted to take him away. They could not.
And a team prayer for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights in the locker room moments ago.
Lord God, thank you for these men.
202 rushing yards for Rice. Greg Schiano has done a great job of this program, resurrecting a program that was the doormat of the Big East and maybe the doormat of college football for many years. But Schiano has got this team moving in the right direction. They are undefeated 5-0, and moments ago, Greg Schiano spoke with Tina Dixon.
Coach, what was the emotion like for you as they were reviewing that last play?
Well, you know, you knew that the play was called on the field as our ball, so it really would have had to have been very conclusive for them to overturn it, so I felt good, but you never know.
What does this mean for you? Now you're 5-0.
Well, we're a step closer to the goals that we've set for ourselves, and now we got to just keep marching.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
What's that?
Meanwhile, on the other side, guys, Matt Grothe played well, and I'm sure Schiano isn't looking forward to having to play him for the next few years. Terrific young quarterback.
Yeah, you know, he really started out great and did some wonderful things, and then had some tough spots early on. He put the ball in the right place. He threw it well. The offense, he was the offense in the first half. He ran the ball. He threw it. He actually caught a pass in the first half.
Well, Rutgers was stacked to stop him. He is leading this team all season long in passing and running. But when, in the second half, Rutgers started to pressure him, it became much more difficult, and he didn't perform as well.
2 interceptions, 1 passing touchdown, and 2 rushing touchdowns for Grothe. But it's Rutgers night, a 2-point win. Back down to the locker room, Greg Schiano talking to his football team.
We made a big deposit, another big deposit in the bank for this football program tonight. We learned, again, how to win on the road. The Big East, win on the road, come back down at halftime, things against us. That's the stuff that champions are made of. And if we just keep chopping, because that was a 60-minute chop. This football team chopped for 60 minutes. We said it was going to take 60 minutes. By golly, you guys brought 60 minutes. We on the road. Let's stand tall. Let's stand tall. Let's stand tall. Let's stand tall. We can't fall. We can't fall. We can't fall. We can't fall. This is our year. This is our year. This is our year. This is our year. I love it. 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 I love it.
A lot of reasons to be pleased. You're ranked. You beat a good team on the road, and you know you're in a position that you could do some damage in this league.
Well, you know, I think listening to Schiano, you kind of got the real sense of it. For years, everybody would watch Rutgers lose, and you go, well, they do something stupid, and you say, well, that's why you're Sunge. But not this year. I mean, they made plays in the fourth quarter, and it was clear they did play and make the plays to win the ballgame.
And when he talks about learning to win on the road, this is a big deal. Brian Leonard told us a couple days ago about how this team is thinking differently from teams in years past at Rutgers. In the past, they hoped that they would win. This team expects to win. And he said the difference is that when you expect to win, people rise up and make a play instead of looking around and hoping somebody else makes a play. And Rutgers did that tonight.
Over 200 yards rushing for Ray Rice. He was dancing on the field tonight, dancing in the locker room after Rutgers stays unbeaten with a 2-point win on the road. 22-20 the final score from Tampa as we go back to the studio.
Guys, thanks very much. And with that, hi and welcome to ESPN News Game Time along with Robert Flores. I'm J.W. Stewart. Baseball, Houston known as the Space City, but what the Astros are doing is out of this world.
Tonight they had a